Welcome to Novel Love Hearing. We bring you hundreds of novel audiobooks covering every genre and every kind of story you can imagine. Action? We've got it. Adventure? Absolutely. Horror? Of course. Whether it's the legendary Uchiha Massacre or outrageous tales like stealing Naruto's and Sasuke's women, you'll find it here. From epic series like One Piece, Bleach, Fairy Tail, and Hunter x Hunter, to countless other adventures, our library has it all. Love novels but don't have time to read? No worries, just plug in your earbuds, sit back, and let the story take over. Good listening, and happy hearing, soft thing. From its appearance, it did look a lot like a sea cucumber from before the Great Flood. Lianyuan poked it with a steel rod and found it still alive. Is this a mutated creature? Lianyuan wondered. Suddenly the sea cucumber-like creature squirted a burst of liquid, splashing it around. Lianyuan was startled and stepped back quickly. The liquid landed on the ground and instantly hit a nearby crab. The crab's limbs struggled, but in no time, its claws seemed stuck in the liquid, struggling more and more. Before long, the liquid solidified, and the crab seemed glued to the ground, unable to move. Lianyuan was astonished. This thing. It's just like super glue. He tried hitting the crab with a crowbar and found that the liquid, once solidified, retained its elasticity like rubber candy. It was hard to break but flexible. Lianyuan got interested and fetched a fruit knife to try cutting the solidified liquid. Of course, before studying the liquid, he killed the crab to avoid losing points in case it died. The fruit knife cut into the solidified liquid like cutting through leather, very tough. Yang Mai watched from a distance. How can this sea cucumber spray glue? Lianyuan rubbed his chin. Sea creatures are bizarre, and with the added mutation and evolution, all kinds of strange abilities are emerging. Yang Mai got interested and suddenly said, "Hey, you guys were having trouble with those short wooden planks, right? What if this liquid can glue those panels together? And it seems like this liquid has good defense power too." Lianyuan's eyes lit up. That makes sense. This thing is naturally glue. He immediately smiled and hugged the fiery Yang Mai. "Sister Mai, you are my good luck charm, muah." Yang Mai blushed and laughed. "I just thought of it. By the way, can this thing float on water? If it has some buoyancy, that would be really great." Lianyuan couldn't help but kiss her again. "Sweetheart, you're amazing." He immediately threw the crab into a nearby bucket of water. Sure enough, the glue-like substance floated, indicating it was less dense than water. Chapter 94, Draw 9 Attributes in a Row. Lianyuan was overjoyed. Its density was low, mass was light, and it had strong adhesive properties. It was practically natural glue. He looked at the sea cucumber like it was a treasure. This thing must be well taken care of, can't let it die. Not sure what sea cucumbers eat. Yang Mai also didn't know what sea cucumbers ate. Everyone had eaten sea cucumbers, but as for what they eat, truly no one knew. Lianyuan thought for a moment, then said, "Let's put it aside for now, we'll ask Old Ma and the others later. I'll go earn some poi. Kill some fish first." Yang Mai nodded, "Then I'll call Sister Wu and the others over." "Go ahead." Lianyuan immediately started fish-killing mode. The steel crowbar in his hand had long been sharpened, becoming a truly sharp short spear. The sharp spear had easily pierced through the fish's head with a single jab. Busy for a full hour, Lianyuan killed all the mutated creatures. He glanced at his points, face full of smiles. This fish-killing session earned him a total of 9,057 points. Adding the remaining 371 points, he now had a total of 9,428 points. That was enough for him to draw attribute points 9 times. Indeed, the more people, the stronger the power. If I had to fish and catch them myself, when would I ever finish? Lianyuan felt great, determined to start clearing buildings 3 through 6 tomorrow. He wanted to mobilize everyone to catch fish for him, to earn even more points. System, start the designated attribute points lottery, 9 consecutive draws. No hesitation, Lianyuan directly started the continuous draw mode. The lottery wheel appeared, the 5 major attributes shimmering. The next moment, the system delivered 9 charming notification sounds. Ding, congratulations, you got 1 point in agility. Ding, congratulations, you got 1 point in agility. Ding, congratulations, you got 1 free attribute point. Ding, congratulations, you got 1 point in strength. Ding, congratulations, you got 1 point in agility. Ding, congratulations, you got 1 point in strength. Ding, congratulations, you got 1 free attribute point. Ding, congratulations, you got 1 point in spirit. Ding, congratulations, you got 1 point in spirit. 9 consecutive notifications. Lianyuan quickly checked the results. He drew 9 times, but didn't get a single physical attribute point. 3 points in agility attribute, 2 points in strength attribute, 2 points in spirit attribute, and 2 points in free attribute. As the attribute points automatically distributed across their respective attributes, Liang Yuan immediately felt a rush of warmth in his body and a chill in his mind. His stats rapidly increased, his physical fitness underwent rapid changes. Liang Yuan felt a powerful force surging within his body, and he couldn't help but feel overjoyed. Looking at the remaining 2 points in free attribute, he didn't hesitate, adding them to his constitution. Immediately, the attribute panel updated again, and the stats changed. Name, Liang Yuan, Constitution, 4.8, Strength, 4.9, Agility, 4.8, Spirit, 7.7, Mutation Progress, 18%, 428 points, Lottery Items, 500 kilograms of Watang rice, Vegetable Gift Package, 3 liters of petrol, a Glock 17 pistol, ding, your mutation progress has exceeded 10%, awakening probability increased. Suddenly, the system prompt sounded, making Liang Yuan's heart leap. Ignoring the changes in other attributes, he hurriedly checked the mutation progress. It showed the mutation progress had reached 18%. Liang Yuan stared at the system message and immediately had a guess. Is the threshold for awakening mutant abilities a mutation progress of 10%? So, Ding Yan, Wang Yanmai, and Zhu Lihua all had a mutation progress of 10% back then. I wonder how much Ding Yan's mutation progress has reached now. Is their strength related to their mutation progress? Liang Yuan had many more questions in his mind, but for now, they were just guesses, and he couldn't verify them. Let's test my current strength. Liang Yuan stood up, carrying the steel short spear and a fruit knife, and went to the rooftop. It was a torrential downpour at night, and the roof was empty. In the darkness, thunder occasionally roared past. First, let's check my constitution. Increasing my constitution not only improves my endurance but also boosts my defense, heart and lung functions, and so on. Let's see how my defense is now. Liang Yuan picked up the fruit knife, holding the blade in his hand, then gently scratched with slight force. He didn't feel any pain, only a faint white mark on his palm. It felt like a nail gently scraping the skin. Liang Yuan raised an eyebrow and increased the force a bit. The white mark on his palm deepened slightly, turning faintly red. Liang Yuan started laughing. With this defense, even if an ordinary person wielded a knife with all their strength, it'd be hard to harm me. Suddenly, he had a wild idea and picked up the nail gun, aiming it at his hand. I should be able to withstand the strength of a nail gun shot now. He hesitated for a moment, then pulled the trigger. Bang! A nail shot out instantly. Liang Yuan felt a sharp pain in his palm. He quickly withdrew his hand and looked at his palm. There was a small red dot in the center, with slight traces of blood. It looked as if a regular person was stung by a bee. Liang Yuan couldn't help but laugh and looked at the nail. The originally sharp nail now had a slightly flattened head, and the once straight nail was slightly bent. Though there's a bit of pain, it still stopped it. He was pleasantly surprised. This was a nail gun, with more destructive power than an ordinary person wielding a knife. For the first time, he felt a bit of security. Let's see how my strength has changed. He scanned the surroundings and set his eyes on a large stainless steel water tank nearby. The stainless steel tank was about 2 meters high, probably the storage tank for a solar heater. A full tank would weigh nearly 3 tons. He grabbed the vertical support at the bottom, took a deep breath. Heave-ho! With a low shout, Liang Yuan suddenly exerted force. His arm muscles bulged instantly, chi and blood surged, and his fingers gripped the frame tightly. The veins on his arms bulged, muscle lines visible. The next moment, the 3-ton water tank gradually lifted off the ground and was slowly raised by him. Chapter 95, Testing Strength, Passionate Downpour Ha! With a loud shout, Liang Yuan lifted the 3-ton stainless steel water tank. His arm muscles bulged, his face contorted, and with a fierce stomp on the ground, he thrust his arms upwards. In an instant, he lifted the water tank from his waist. Bang! After holding it for a few seconds, he put the water tank back down. Breathing heavily, his face flushed red. This was due to the rapid circulation of chi and blood, causing localized hot flushes. Liang Yuan's eyes were filled with a sharp light as he looked at his hands, excitedly muttering, "My strength has increased so much, I can easily lift a 3-ton water tank with full force. With my current strength, no one in this building could be my opponent. Even if Ding Yan used empowerment, he wouldn't be able to reach this level of explosive power." His constitution and power had both increased to nearly 5 points, equivalent to 5 times the strength of an average person. Now, in this building, he should be able to walk unchallenged. Plus, with a Glock pistol, who could be his match? Tomorrow, I'll sweep through all 6 units of Building 76 and make everyone catch fish for me. After catching more fish, I'll draw attribute points and strive to break through 10 points in all attributes before leaving the building. Liang Yuan made a firm decision, turned his head, and looked at the flood under the torrential rain. With a thunderclap, he gazed at the raging waters. A massive shadow flashed under the water, causing his expression to deepen. Earlier, a drone had captured images of gigantic creatures 7 to 8 meters long beneath the water. If the raft was successfully made, he couldn't be certain they wouldn't be attacked by these creatures when they got into the water. Encountering such massive creatures, without strong individual power, they might be doomed in the vast floodwaters. So, he still had a desperate desire to increase his strength. I need manpower, I need a lot of people to help me catch fish, to earn points for me. But unfortunately, if I have to leave, the size of the raft may not allow me to take many people. Liang Yuan sighed, feeling helpless. When the time came, he could only choose to save those closest to him. Let's test my speed. Suppressing the distractions in his mind, he steadied his breath and then clenched his fists, roused his chi and blood, and swiftly punched. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. His fist force broke through the air, roaring like thunder, with continuous booming sounds. In the void, his power was fierce, his punching speed so fast it left after images. 1 second, 9 punches. Liang Yuan's fist stopped in midair, his eyes electric, filled with joy. For an average person, one punch took 0.5 to 1 second, but with his agility nearly 5 times higher, he could throw 9 punches. At this speed, an average person would almost only see the after images of his punches. Feeling moved, he suddenly stamped the ground, his body shooting forward. Whoosh! A human-shaped blank area appeared suddenly at the starting point, and the rain curtain seemed to be sliced open. A white trail of mist cleaved through the air, marking a human speed path. In nearly a blink of an eye, Liang Yuan appeared 7 to 8 meters away. My jumping power has similarly increased 4 to 5 times, one step covers 3 to 4 meters, comparable to a martial arts master in a wuxia novel. With my stride frequency, at full speed, I might outrun a car. And that's in a normal state. If I sprint and jump with all my power, I might leap 8 to 9 meters. With a big smile, Liang Yuan turned to look at Building 76 across from him, then shook his head as he gauged the distance. It's still too far, I can't jump across. Between two buildings, it's over 100 meters. Even if I break all attributes to over 10 points, it would still be tough. Suddenly he glanced at the rope between the two buildings, feeling a stirring inside. With my current arm strength, I could climb across using the rope. Then he shook his head again, too dangerous, if I fall into the water halfway. He didn't want to take the risk, the old Taoist on the other side's strength was unknown, better not to go over lightly. Now that his constitution, power, and agility had been tested with obvious improvements. As for spirit attribute, it had soared to 7.7, and he could clearly feel his spiritual power increased several times over. His gaze shifted, landing on a nearby water pipe. Spiritual power immediately spread out, and he attempted to make the pipe float. The pipe trembled slightly, then under Liang Yuan's gaze, it actually began to float slowly. But just as it floated in front of Liang Yuan, it fell with a plop. Liang Yuan raised an eyebrow. Telekinesis is too weak, moving physical objects is too exhausting. He rubbed his temples. This pipe is heavy, better try something lighter. He scanned around and found a nail. Using spiritual telekinesis, he manipulated the nail. This time, he easily made the nail float, finding it much easier than manipulating a toothpick initially. Let's test the range of spiritual telekinesis. Spreading his spiritual power, the nail swirled and shot rapidly away from him. At about 7 meters, Liang Yuan suddenly lost control of the nail. With a clatter, the nail hit the ground, splashing a large amount of water. Liang Yuan's face paled slightly, but his eyes gleamed. The limit distance is 7 to 8 meters. Within this range, my telekinesis can control the nail precisely. Chapter 95, Testing Strength, Torrential Passion. This is even better than the Glock 17. It's worth noting that his Glock 17 now has very few bullets left. Originally, the Glock 17 had a full magazine of only 17 bullets, and he had used 13 or 14 of them in several encounters with mutants and mutated creatures. Now, only 3 or 4 bullets remain. He initially thought about trying his luck a few more times to get some equipment, but considering the uncertainty of the lottery, he eventually gave up. As for spending 1,000 points to draw a specified item, he was reluctant to do so. Bullets are consumables, once used, they are gone, and the 1,000 points would be wasted. However, exchanging for attribute points would allow his strength to grow permanently. Comparing the two options, he naturally preferred to spend points to exchange for attribute points. Now it's great, even without a Glock 17, I can use my telekinesis to drive nails or blades, or even make a steel needle and achieve the same effect as a handgun. Liang Yuan was extremely satisfied in his heart, as his spiritual power had increased several times and could finally be converted into attack power. He looked at the torrential rain and suddenly had a whim, reaching out to press forward. Immediately, under the activation of telekinesis, the raindrops in midair stopped instantly. Within a 7-meter radius of him, all the rain was blocked out. The scene was as magical as those special effects he had seen on Dian. Liang Yuan's mouth curled up, and he suddenly remembered Elder Lin in the building opposite. That old Taoist who pretends to be mysterious, could it be that he is also pretending to be a Taoist master using his mutant ability? Most likely. He immediately guessed that Elder Lin was definitely faking his Taoist skills using his mutant ability. He just didn't know what the golden light superpower of Elder Lin was for and whether it had strong attack power. After all, that golden light seemed quite different from his own spiritual telekinesis. Liang Yuan then tried to develop different uses of his spiritual telekinesis, striving to quickly adapt to his drastically increased strength. In the blink of an eye, he had stayed on the rooftop for more than 2 hours. Thanks to a constitution attribute of 4.8, his endurance was good. Even after being active for 2 hours, he only needed a break 2 or 3 times to recover his strength. Indeed, a well-balanced development of all attributes is the way to go. Recalling how he had previously focused solely on increasing his strength attribute, back then, although his strength increased, he would be exhausted after throwing a dozen punches. It was clear that constitution determined endurance and also significantly influenced other attributes. Little brother? While honing his strength, Liang Yuan suddenly heard Yang Mai's voice from the entrance to the rooftop. He turned his head and saw Yang Mai standing at the stairway, wearing a plain white t-shirt and jeans on her lower half. This outfit was for convenience at work, highlighting her curvaceous hips and straight legs, outlined appealingly by the jeans. She called out, "Little brother, the fish downstairs are all taken care of, and it's getting late, you should rest." Liang Yuan laughed and, feeling happy today, waved over to Yang Mai, "Sister Mai, come over." Yang Mai glanced at the pouring rain outside, hesitated, but obediently walked into the rain. In an instant, the heavy rain soaked her body, and the once loose t-shirt clung tightly to her. The originally white t-shirt now appeared almost see-through, revealing the pink underwear underneath faintly. 2 impressive grapefruit shapes emerged in a vague silhouette. "Little brother, the rain is too heavy, come back quickly, don't catch a cold," Yang Mai shouted, raising her hands above her head to shield herself from the rain. Liang Yuan laughed heartily, "Let me show you something interesting." He walked to Yang Mai's side and stretched his fingers towards the sky. In an instant, it seemed as if a transparent screen appeared above their heads. The rain hitting it made a clattering sound, but it was as if it was hitting a piece of glass and couldn't fall on them. Yang Mai's eyes widened in amazement, exclaiming, "This? What is this?" She reached out her hand, stood on tiptoe, and tried to touch the transparent area above Liang Yuan's hand. However, due to her height, even on tiptoe, she still couldn't reach the distance above Liang Yuan's hand. Seeing this, she couldn't help but jump a little to try and touch what was above Liang Yuan's palm. With the jump, she didn't achieve much height, but the impressive thunder in front of her bounced high immediately. Liang Yuan lowered his head, seeing this scene, couldn't help his breath from quickening. A rainy night, wet bodies, alone with a woman. This couldn't help but trigger words like downpour in his mind, making his heart race. Yang Mai hadn't noticed his abnormality yet and jumped again, trying to touch that transparent barrier-like thing. Suddenly, she felt her waist tighten, and her whole body was lifted by Liang Yuan with one hand. "Ah!" Yang Mai exclaimed in surprise and, looking up, saw Liang Yuan's intense gaze that seemed to want to devour her. The mature woman was instantly dumbstruck, looking down at her wet t-shirt, understanding everything with embarrassment, and hurriedly said, "Little brother, not here." Before she could finish her sentence, Liang Yuan carried her directly towards their room. The next morning, Liang Yuan woke up refreshed. The wet t-shirt on the floor had been torn apart. The tight blue jeans also had a rip in the middle. It was clear that the previous night's battle had been intense. The woman on the bed was too exhausted to get up. Looking at Liang Yuan, she couldn't help saying, I'll make breakfast." She tried to get up, but as soon as she moved her arms, she felt sore all over. Chapter 95 Testing Strength, Torrential Rain Passion. Liang Yuan laughed and said, "Forget it. Didn't you make buns yesterday? I'll just eat some buns and fry a steak." Hueman had some yeast powder at home and naturally sent some to Liang Yuan. Yang Mai, being so virtuous, saw the yeast powder and, since there was flour and beef at home, naturally made a lot of beef buns and stored them in the fridge. She now secretly rejoiced, luckily she made buns yesterday. Otherwise, she really wouldn't have the strength to cook for Liang Yuan today. As Liang Yuan was getting dressed, he laughed and said, "Sister Mai, you should exercise more. Yesterday wasn't even that intense, just twice and you were done." Yang Mai's face instantly turned red, unable to resist her embarrassment and anger. You go for 1 or 2 hours at a time, who can handle that? Liang Yuan laughed heartily, experiencing firsthand the benefits of his enhanced endurance and recovery due to his physical attributes. 1 or 2 hours were nothing, not even counting the foreplay. Sister Mai, you can't handle even this much time? Don't blame me for finding you a sister to help out. Liang Yuan made a small joke, and Yang Mai's face changed slightly, but she had no way to respond. She forced a smile and said, go ahead, find a couple more. I can't handle you alone. Which woman would be willing to share her man with others? No matter how generous and virtuous Yang Mai was, she would definitely feel bad inside. But she also knew that Liang Yuan wasn't her husband, so what right did she have to control him? The key issue was, she couldn't even satisfy him in bed. Thinking about this made her feel bitter, but there was nothing she could do. Seeing her mood drop, Liang Yuan smiled and said, what are you thinking about? I'm just teasing you. Given the current situation, taking good care of you is already a challenge for me. I won't look for anyone else anytime soon. Get some more sleep, I'll cook today. Yang Mai's mood greatly improved, her eyes softening with affection. You're so good to me, little brother. I should get up and cook. As she reached for her jeans, she blushed upon seeing the torn crotch. I don't know where you get all these naughty ideas. Making me do it with my pants on. Now these good jeans are ruined. Liang Yuan laughed, ha ha ha, do you know why men like cosplay? A woman feels the same when she's naked, only with clothes does she become enticing. Alright, I'll get you dozens more pairs later. Yang Mai felt puzzled, not really understanding men's quirks. This housewife was clearly inexperienced, having the body of one but lacking the knowledge. She needed Liang Yuan to teach her from scratch. Breakfast was wonderful. After devouring several beef buns, Liang Yuan found his appetite had grown a lot. It seemed that as his attributes increased and his physical condition improved, his appetite also grew bigger and bigger. This led him to speculate, could it be that after mutation and evolution, all body organs also evolved? Then Ding Yan and other mutant ability users' appetites must also be increasing. With resources scarce, the only thing they can eat are mutant fish. The more mutant creatures they eat, the higher their mutation progress, and the stronger their mutant ability. I wonder how strong Ding Yan is now. After finishing his meal and pondering these things, the sense of security from his power growth last night vanished. Urgency set in immediately. Mutant ability users enhance their mutation progress and power levels significantly by consuming mutant creatures. I'm still too slow. Today, we'll conquer the other units and have everyone catch fish for me. Oh, and I'll use my remaining points to exchange for some supplies. Liu Erlong's batch of supplies is almost used up. He had 482 points left, not enough for a 1000 points specified draw. For now, he could only try his luck with the 100 points lottery disc. Before heading out, he spun the 100 points lottery 4 times. This time his luck was average, he didn't get any attribute points, mutant plants, or weapons. What he got were 1 ton of flour, 1 ton of pork, 1 ton of assorted snacks, and 1 ton of coal. The ton of coal really surprised him. Currently, everyone was using wood, paper, old clothes, and other items to start fires. These items were depleting quickly. Many people had nothing left to burn and had to scour the water's surface for floating debris to use as fuel. Liang Yuan's home had a generator that used petrol, and he cooked with an induction cooker and pressure cooker, so fuel wasn't an issue. However, the 4 barrels of petrol were depleting rapidly. In just 2 or 3 days, 1 whole barrel was used up. He had no choice, with over a dozen ovens needing to roast fish and his refrigerator and freezer needing power, he used a lot of electricity. Looks like I'll need to gather enough points to specifically draw for more petrol, Liang Yuan thought. Electricity was essential and couldn't be saved. After having enough to eat and drink, Liang Yuan said to Yang Mai, Sister Mai, I'm heading out. Be careful at home, and call Zhao Kai if you have any issues. Yang Mai smiled, don't worry, little brother. Zhao Kai is guarding the corridor, nothing will happen. Liang Yuan nodded slightly. His small group had already gained a reputation, and most people wouldn't dare cause trouble. Especially since they knew he had a gun, nobody dared to mess with him. Arriving at 3202, Liang Yuan saw Kai Yao coming out of the kitchen and couldn't help but smile. Little Kai Yao, up this early? Kai Yao sweetly replied, Brother Yuan, I got up at 6. I even made breakfast for everyone. Hardships make people grow. Kai Yao, at her age, usually slept until lunchtime during the peaceful days before the Great Flood. Now she knew to get up early and help her parents with chores. Chapter 96, Zhengu Oqian seeks help. Mutant Golden Python Liang Yuan smiled and asked, Where are your parents? My dad went downstairs to move supplies after breakfast. He said there are still more than 10 rooms worth of wooden planks that haven't been taken down. He plans to finish it all today. Grandpa Ma is nailing planks on the rooftop, and Grandma Lee is taking care of the plants in the greenhouse downstairs. What about your mom? My mom went to the first floor. She said she was going fishing with Songwon and the others. Brother Liang, my mom said she'll come over when you start gutting the fish. In the meantime, she wants to fish a bit. Liang Yuan laughed. No worries, they can plan their free time. I'm not a capitalist who can stand people being idle. Kai Yao giggled. The study room door opened, and out walked Ding Yan, dressed in her back brace armor. Kai Yao, what's making you so happy? Clearly, she had heard the commotion. Aunt Ding Yan, Brother Liang is here, that's why I'm happy. Ding Yan couldn't help but ruffle her hair. You have such a sweet mouth. Then, she looked at Liang Yuan and suddenly raised an eyebrow, surprised. Did you get a little taller? Liang Yuan was stunned. Really? Ding Yan walked up to him, gestured from the top of her head to Liang Yuan's neck, and immediately said, definitely taller. I used to reach your chin. Her tone was very certain. Liang Yuan touched his nose, guessing that perhaps his body experienced a second growth spurt after increasing his attributes. Maybe. Anyway, I'm planning to clear out all the remaining units today. Are you free? Hearing this, Ding Yan's eyes lit up. I was just looking for you. Our progress was too slow yesterday, we need to speed up today. Liang Yuan laughed and said, then let's go. The two walked out of the room. After instructing Kai Yao to lock the door, they headed towards the corridor. As they passed the corridor entrance, they greeted Zhao Kai and then crossed the corridor towards the second unit. Just after crossing the corridor, they saw Zhang Peng and Wen Lily. The two were guarding the second unit and were talking to a few old men. Seeing Liang Yuan and Ding Yan approaching, Wen Lily quickly ran over and said, Brother Liang, Sister Ding, this old man says he knows you and begged us to find you. We didn't want to disturb you, so please take a look. Upon hearing this, Liang Yuan walked over, and seeing the old men, he immediately showed a look of realization. Zhenggu Oqian? The old man in front of him was one of the elderly folks he had released from the rooftop. Zhenggu Oqian saw Liang Yuan and was overjoyed that he still recognized him. He quickly came forward and said, Brother Liang, I'm Zhenggu Oqian. So good to see you remember me. Liang Yuan raised an eyebrow. I let you out back then, and then I never saw you again. Where did you go? Zhenggu Oqian replied awkwardly, we were really scared and didn't dare get involved in the matter between you and Liu Erlong, so we ran to the third unit. His straightforwardness made Liang Yuan have a bit more respect for him. At the time, he released them to use them against Liu Erlong, to bolster his own standing. He didn't expect this group to be so cowardly that they disappeared without a trace. So in Liang Yuan's heart, he actually looked down on these old men he had once released. A group that had been bullied by Liu Erlong to the point of breaking and had no will to resist even after being saved was not worth his attention. His expression turned indifferent, and he said, Liu Erlong has already been killed by me. There is no longer anyone in the building who can threaten you. You can peacefully fish and gather supplies now. Zhenggu Oqian smiled bitterly, Brother Liang, it's not that simple. You've been in the first unit, so you don't know what's been happening in units 4, 5, and 6. What do you mean? Liang Yuan asked with a frown. Zhenggu Oqian explained, even when Liu Erlong was alive, there was a gang in the 6th unit. Their crimes and atrocities are no less than Liu Erlong's. Liu Erlong only dared to bully the people in units 1, 2, and 3 but never dared to touch units 4, 5, and 6 because of that gang. Liang Yuan was immediately surprised. After killing Liu Erlong, he thought that the building was free of threats. He hadn't expected another group comparable to Liu Erlong's gang to be in units 4, 5, and 6. He turned his head and looked at Wen Lily, Zhang Peng, do you know that gang? He naturally wouldn't easily believe Zhenggu Oqian's words, so he ignored him and instead asked Wen Lily directly. Wen Lily nodded, he must be talking about Wang Zi's gang. Wang Zi lives on the top floor of the 6th unit, and he has Chen Hong and Shu Wen under him. Zhang Peng quickly added, Brother Liang, this gang is fierce. The corridor between units 3 and 4 is always blocked by them, with guards on every floor. Even when Liu Erlong was around, to avoid conflict with them, he agreed to use the 3rd unit as a buffer, handing over units 4, 5, and 6 to Wang Zi's gang. Units 1 and 2 were controlled by Liu Erlong. The 3rd unit was a chaotic zone. We were living in the cracks at that time. Liang Yuan's eyes flickered. He then looked at Zhenggu Oqian and asked, why are you looking for me? Zhenggu Oqian wouldn't seek him out for no reason and now brought up Wang Zi's gang, so there must be something. With a sad expression, Zhenggu Oqian said, I heard from others that Brother Liang, you stand up for everyone, killed Liu Erlong's gang, and are now working to fix the building. They said if we have any problems, we should come to you. So I'm here, shamelessly, to ask you to save my poor niece. Chapter 96, Jingu Okian seeks help. Mutant Golden Python Liang Yuan asked calmly, "Oh? What's up with your niece?" "I have a niece named Yuan Yuan. She lives in Unit 6, but I've been unable to contact her. I heard from people that they saw her hanging around Wang Zi. I fear my niece has already been taken over by Wang Zi and his gang. Poor thing, she just graduated from college not long ago and now has to suffer such indignities from these villains. I'm a useless uncle." As he spoke, tears streamed down his face, making him look pitiful. Even when Lily nearby couldn't help but get teary-eyed and said, "I heard that Zhuwen in Wang Zi's gang is a notorious lecher. If she's fallen into his hands, she's probably..." Sigh. She couldn't bear to continue. Zhang Peng said nothing, just looked at Liang Yuan, waiting for him to speak. Liang Yuan showed no expression, but Ding Yan beside him already had red eyes, fury bubbling within. She detested those who defiled women the most. Clang. She hammered the side armrest with her fist and cursed, "A bunch of scum, they deserve to die. Liang Yuan, let's go kill those bastards right now." Liang Yuan glanced at her, unsure if Ding Yan was affected by the mutation progress or due to her personal experiences. He could clearly feel Ding Yan's temper growing more irritable, and a stronger bloodlust. Could the mutation progress affect one's personality? Although I interrupted her mutant awakening process at the time, the mental chaos crisis left a mark, intensifying her temper and bloodlust. Liang Yuan wondered but then said, "Don't be hasty. Wang Zi must be unusual to gather so many people around him. Jingu Okian, how much do you know about him?" Jingu Okian quickly replied, "Wang Zi keeps a low profile. Few have seen him, and we know little about him. But he has two henchmen, one named Chen Hong and the other named Zhuwen. These two commit most of the crimes in Wang Zi's gang. That Chen Hong, he's ruthless and kills without blinking. Just yesterday, he beheaded a young man with an axe at the entryway of Unit 4, to scare some residents who were thinking of fleeing to Unit 3. And as for Zhuwen, he's just as Miss Wen said, a lecher. He occupies 3 rooms across Units 4, 5, and 6, with over a dozen women under his control." Liang Yuan frowned, not hearing what he wanted to know. So he directly asked, "How many people are in Wang Zi's gang? Any mutant ability users?" I don't know." Jingu Okian was at a loss for words, as he had no clue about these details. Liang Yuan then looked at Wen Lily and Zhang Peng. Both of them shook their heads, evidently knowing nothing either. Liang Yuan frowned. He was always cautious. Even with his attributes and strength significantly boosted, he wouldn't arrogantly assume he was invincible. Mutant abilities come in numerous varieties. Zulehua can even parasitically take over others. He didn't want to encounter some bizarre mutant ability user and get killed in a baffling manner. He looked at Jingu Okian and said sternly, "If you want my help, it's not impossible, but I need first-hand information on Wang Zi's gang." Jingu Okian was taken aback, thinking this young man, capable of killing Liu Erlong, would be a chivalrous person who hates evil. He thought confiding in him would incite immediate righteous fury and help. Never did he expect Liang Yuan to ask him to figure out how to gather intel. He was momentarily stunned and stood there in a daze. Ding Yan couldn't help but look at Liang Yuan and said, "Liang Yuan, why don't we just charge in? We'll know what Wang Zi's gang is capable of after a fight, won't we?" Liang Yuan frowned, glanced at Ding Yan, and said flatly, "Even Liu Erlong almost had a mutant awakening. Wang Zi's gang has been around for so long and has been consuming mutant fish. I doubt they don't have any mutant ability users. Most likely, Wang Zi himself is a mutant ability user. We don't know his mutant ability or his methods. Rushing in blindly and not being his match would expose our cards, wouldn't it? If he then seizes the chance to attack Unit 1, you and I could escape, but what about the others?" Ding Yan was stunned, not knowing how to respond. Liang Yuan continued, "Your strength has greatly increased, and you've awakened a mutant ability, giving you some self-defense. But that doesn't mean you are invincible. Remember the recent Zulehua incident? Her parasitic ability could easily deceive you. If she attacked you suddenly, could you fend her off? Ding Yan, you need to change your mindset. Don't think that just because you have a mutant ability, you are invincible. If you can acquire a mutant ability, so can others. Once you lose your vigilance and respect for the unknown, death will follow closely. Think about your parents, whose fate is still uncertain, before making any decisions." These words were particularly harsh. Ding Yan paused, her breathing slightly, her expression becoming heavier. Liang Yuan rarely got angry or spoke sternly to those around him. Today, he had shown no mercy with his words to her. Ding Yan felt an inexplicable panic. Her face changed slightly, and she quietly lowered her head, reflecting on her recent changes. Since killing Fengen, she had changed enormously. She became colder, more indifferent to life, more ruthless. She sensed that Sister Wu, Brother K, Granny Li. They were all deliberately keeping their distance from her. Chapter 96 Shingu Okian seeks help, mutant golden python. She didn't think much of it before, only felt that she had awakened her mutant ability. It was normal for them to fear her. But now thinking back, their fear was real, but how much of it was respect? Did she really have a problem with her mindset? Liang Yuan didn't pay any attention to Ding Yan, only said to Shingu Okian, "You go and check out the situation first, we need to clean out Unit 3 today." Shingu Okian opened his mouth. "Brother Liang, I go." Liang Yuan called out to Ding Yan, not giving Shingu Okian any chance to speak further. This old man really thought he was doing a righteous deed? Just because he asked to save his niece, did it mean I had to go? What a joke, I hadn't even figured out Wang Zi's gang's situation. What if there was danger? Ding Yan quickly followed Liang Yuan. The two crossed the corridor between Unit 2 and Unit 3, arriving at Unit 3. As usual, Ding Yan knocked on the door while Liang Yuan held a gun behind. When someone refused to open the door, Ding Yan used her empowerment, punching it open by force. But most people were sensible, seeing the gun in Liang Yuan's hand, they opened the door voluntarily. Those who truly resisted either had a guilty conscience or had committed heinous acts. When encountering these, Liang Yuan showed no mercy, directly assisting Ding Yan to kill such scum on the spot. All the way knocking on doors, many people at the back heard about their sweeping, especially the homeowners who opened the door and weren't looted, immediately recognized their actions. They immediately followed behind Liang Yuan and Ding Yan, helping to sweep the floors together noisily. What's more, some even proactively reported which family's evil deeds from which floor. For minor issues, Liang Yuan didn't bother, only intervening in cases of serious crimes like murder and robbery, or violating women. As for stealing food or bickering, Liang Yuan didn't care. He only warned them, there's plenty of fish to catch downstairs, and if they didn't want to eat the fish, they could trade them for food at Unit 1 with him. If they dared to steal or fight again, he would take action. At first, some didn't take it seriously until Liang Yuan actually killed a few wrongdoers. Only then did those with minor offenses shiver in fear, not daring to underestimate Liang Yuan's words. With that, Liang Yuan and Ding Yan's sweeping speed quickened. Unit 3, Floor 23. A young woman fearfully opened the door, looking at Liang Yuan and Ding Yan. Liang Yuan glanced at her and immediately asked, "Are you scared?" The woman's lips trembled, shaking her head repeatedly, "No. No." Liang Yuan looked at her, then tapped inside the house, "Are you living alone?" "Yes. Yes, I live alone." Liang Yuan squinted his eyes. There weren't many women living alone now. Such women generally became targets for others. Liang Yuan glanced at Ding Yan, signaling her to check inside. Ding Yan nodded, immediately asking, "Is it convenient for me to look inside?" The woman silently stepped back, opening the door, letting Ding Yan enter the house. Ding Yan walked around inside, finding nothing unusual, then came out, looked at Liang Yuan, and shook her head slightly. No abnormalities. Liang Yuan looked at the woman again, squinting his eyes. He suddenly extended his spiritual power, instantly covering a range of 7 to 8 meters around him. Nothing could hinder his probe. Liang Yuan walked into the room, his nose twitching, immediately smelling a strange scent. That wasn't a human smell. His heart tightened, he walked towards the woman's bedroom, asking, "Do you mind if I take a look inside?" "No. No." Liang Yuan nodded, immediately walking into the bedroom. Just as he reached the bedroom door, he suddenly stopped, his expression changed abruptly, turning his head to look at the wardrobe. "Open the wardrobe." He immediately shouted at the woman, who shuddered all over. "No, please, Ah Huang is not a mutant creature, it has never hurt anyone." The woman suddenly knelt down, crying quickly. Crash. The thing in the wardrobe heard the woman's cries, it abruptly shook the wardrobe doors violently. The wardrobe immediately creaked and the doors pounded. Ding Yan quickly became alert, light shone instantly from her empowered hand. She grabbed the woman, shouting, "What's inside?" The woman cried in fear, "It's my pet, Ah Huang. Ah Huang has never hurt anyone, I only feed it fish." Liang Yuan shouted, "What's Ah Huang?" "A python. A golden python," the woman cried. Liang Yuan's pupils shrank. Golden python? He suddenly recalled that someone had mentioned in the residents group that there was indeed someone raising a golden python in the building. He just didn't expect that the owner was such a delicate girl. Liang Yuan's face darkened, the golden python must have mutated from eating the mutant fish. He quickly took a few steps back, creating distance from the wardrobe, then turned and shouted at the woman, "Open the wardrobe." Ding Yan also released the woman, watching her alertly. The woman had no choice, walking towards the wardrobe while crying, constantly pleading, "It's really well behaved, it has never hurt anyone. When bad people broke in, it was Ah Huang who scared them away. It saved my life, please, don't hurt it, I beg you." As she spoke, she reached the wardrobe, opening it with her hands. Inside the wardrobe were many clothes, under which a thick golden python was hidden. At that moment, the golden python, seeing the wardrobe door open, immediately raised its head, quickly slithering out from under the clothes. Its vertical pupils first glanced at the woman, then quickly coiled around in front of her, finally fixing its gaze on the doorway. Twisting and turning, it already protected the woman behind it. Liang Yuan couldn't help but raise an eyebrow, staring at the golden python. This golden python was 2 to 3 meters long, standing upright, almost as tall as half a person. At this moment, it flicked its tongue, hissing, staring intently at Liang Yuan. It seemed to know that Liang Yuan was the biggest threat here. This snake was definitely mutated, and it had some intelligence. Chapter 97, Splitting Forces, Raiding the Liang's House. Ah Huang. Don't mess around, don't mess around. The woman hurried forward, hugging the golden python. Liang Yuan couldn't help but raise an eyebrow, instinctively wanting to take action. Ding Yan also couldn't help but shout, "Don't go over there." But to their surprise, the golden python did not harm the woman. Instead, it opened its blood-red mouth towards Liang Yuan and Ding Yan, hissing as if to warn them not to come closer. Liang Yuan held back Ding Yan, saying, "Wait." Ding Yan was also a bit surprised. This mutant creature seems different from those mutant cats. Liang Yuan nodded slightly, looking at the woman, and asked, "Is this golden python raised by you? Can it understand what you say?" The woman wiped her tears while hugging the golden python. "Yes, I raised it. When I was 10, my dad gave it to me before he passed away. It has always been with me, it is very gentle and has never hurt anyone. Ah Huang is very obedient, you have to believe me. It really won't hurt anyone. Ah Huang, go back." As she spoke, she immediately instructed the golden python to go back into the closet. The golden python hissed with its tongue, its eyes showing a human-like hesitation. After a moment, it followed the woman's words and crawled back into the closet, unusually obedient. Witnessing this scene, even though Liang Yuan and Ding Yan had seen a lot, they were taken aback. Ding Yan wondered out loud, are mutant creatures this obedient? Liang Yuan carefully observed the golden python, trying to discover any differences between it and an ordinary golden python to determine where the mutation had occurred. However, to the naked eye, it really seemed to have no mutations. Its skin was a mix of golden yellow and milky white, with tightly packed, beautiful scales, and a pair of eyes that were brownish-gray. Liang Yuan noticed a vertical stripe on its forehead, which was probably the only physical difference from a normal golden python. Has it really not mutated? Liang Yuan was secretly amazed. He didn't know much about golden pythons. He had seen wealthy families raising such a thing online, but never encountered one in real life. But it seemed that the woman and this golden python had an unusual bond. The golden python was a gift from her father before he passed away, which gave it special significance. Liang Yuan instinctively used his spiritual power to approach the golden python. The moment his spiritual power touched the golden python, it suddenly lifted its head, hissing and looking towards Liang Yuan. Liang Yuan felt a spiritual consciousness flooding towards him. Within that consciousness, there were emotions of vigilance, caution, and dislike. Liang Yuan was moved, it really has self-awareness. Liang Yuan's eyes flashed slightly, sending out waves of goodwill with his spiritual telekinesis, gently comforting the golden python. The golden python looked at Liang Yuan in confusion, and after a moment, slowly relaxed its guard and laid down again. Liang Yuan was delighted. This golden python could actually have simple communication with his spiritual power. He roughly figured it out. This golden python had probably awakened a spirit attribute. So, it looked no different externally, but its spirit attribute had increased, giving it a certain level of intelligence. No wonder it hadn't harmed the woman or gone out to eat people. Liang Yuan finally looked at the woman and asked, "What's your name?" The woman quickly replied, "Huang Han, my name is Huang Han." "Mr. Liang, I know you, they all say you're a good person. Please, Ah Huang really hasn't harmed anyone, it's always been by my side. I've always fed it fish. Please believe me, everything I said is true. Please don't hurt it." Huang Han's eyes reddened, and tears flowed as she pleaded earnestly. Her tears washed away the dirt on her face, revealing that she had temporarily made herself look ugly. This was probably something all women would do nowadays. The golden python seemed to sense Huang Han's emotions and immediately raised its head, looking hostilely at Liang Yuan and Ding Yan. At this point, Liang Yuan already believed Huang Han's words. This golden python was indeed not an ordinary mutant creature. However, whether it had harmed anyone, He couldn't be sure. But for now, he hadn't heard any reports from residents about a python eating people. Also, there were no corpses or bones found in the house. Of course, it could also be that Huang Han had cleaned up. From what he could tell, this golden python had only awakened a spirit ability. If necessary, Liang Yuan was confident he could kill it. He thought about it and said to Ding Yan, "This golden python has significant research value. It can teach us a lot about mutant creatures. As it seems now, not all mutant creatures have aggressively attacked humans. So, let's leave the golden python alone for now and continue our sweep of the building." Huang Han, does the golden python's diet include fish? Liang Yuan's last question was directed at Huang Han. Huang Han was overjoyed and quickly replied, "It didn't before, but now there's no food. I can only catch some fish to feed it. It also catches mice in the hallway to eat." Liang Yuan raised an eyebrow. "It catches mice? No wonder I haven't seen any rats in our building." Logically, during such a flood, mice would also mutate. Without food, the mice would surely be active, searching for something to eat. But so far, he hadn't heard of any sightings of rats in Building 76. He had initially thought it was due to the mutant cats. Now it seemed like this golden python was also a key player in controlling the rat population. Huang Han hurriedly added, "Ah, Huang is really impressive. It's great at catching mice and even swims to catch fish. When I was starving before, it would catch fish for me to eat." Chapter 97, Dividing the troops into two routes, raiding the household of the Liang family. Liang Yuan was stunned, not expecting there to be so many stories between this person and the snake. Ding Yan also relaxed her tightly knit brows, looked at the golden python, and said, "For now, it indeed doesn't seem threatening." Liang Yuan thought for a moment and asked Huang Han, "What did it eat before?" "Chicken, bullfrogs, small birds, mice and the like, but now I have nowhere to buy these things, so I can only let it eat fish." Liang Yuan was amazed in his heart. After the Great Flood, it seemed that many creatures had to change their diets if they wanted to survive. He inquired a bit more about the golden python and finally instructed Huang Han that if she ran out of food, she could take fish to him for a trade. In the end, he didn't harm the person or the snake and left the house. The onlookers outside clicked their tongues in wonder, but everyone maintained a sense of awe towards Huang Han. Anyone seeing such a huge golden python would feel scared. As the two left, Huang Han finally breathed a sigh of relief. She held the golden python and couldn't help but say, "Ah, Huang, they are indeed good people. They didn't act recklessly." Huang Han was incredibly grateful. If it had been Liu Erlong's group, she and Ah Huang would probably be dead by now. He said he has food at home and can trade mutant fish for it. "Ah Huang, let's go downstairs in a bit and see if we can catch some fish to trade for other food at his place, to change your taste." Huang Han held the golden python, Ah Huang, mumbling to herself. Liang Yuan and the others not taking action had already made her let down her guard. Leaving Huang Han's home, Liang Yuan and Ding Yan continued to sweep the building. As they swept downward, they clearly found that the lower they went, the fewer residents there were. Some rooms were even empty, and judging by the state of the rooms, it seemed the residents had fled not long ago. Needless to say, these residents were likely criminals, who, upon hearing about Liang Yuan's sweeping operation, hurriedly fled to buildings 4, 5, and 6. Ding Yan frowned and asked, "Liang Yuan, these bastards have probably gathered in buildings 4, 5, and 6, which are now probably filled with murderers. Are we really going to just leave it be?" Liang Yuan thought for a moment, if we leave those people unchecked, it will definitely be dangerous. Ding Yan also nodded, and immediately said, "Right, they'll get tired of eating fish sooner or later. They know we have food, and sooner or later they'll come after us. Instead of waiting for them to act, we might as well strike first." Liang Yuan smiled, "I agree with that idea, but we can't rush in head first. Before that, we have to figure out what skills this Wang Zi has. This person can control so many ruthless people, he must have awakened some mutated ability. We must find out what it is before we act, otherwise it's too dangerous. So, what do you suggest? Remember how we dealt with Liu Erlong?" Liang Yuan smiled, "First we kill his lackeys, then we cut off his arms, and finally we unite to surround and kill him." Ding Yan's eyes lit up, and she nodded excitedly, "Good, whatever you say, we'll do. Let's clean up building 3 first, finish within half an hour." "Okay." The two immediately continued clearing the floors. The remaining owners of building 3 all opened their doors to welcome Liang Yuan and Ding Yan. For them, someone who could uphold order without bullying the weak was definitely a blessing. Many people complained to Liang Yuan about the previous misdeeds committed by some people in building 3, asking him to take action. In this way, within less than 2 hours, Liang Yuan and Ding Yan had cleared out the whole of building 3. Aside from the golden python incident, Nothing particularly noteworthy happened. Liang Yuan also inquired specifically if anyone had pets. The answers he got shocked him. Some people did have pets, but they had disappeared in the months following the Great Flood. They were either slaughtered and turned into food by those starving, or their owners slaughtered them for dishes. There were very few true dog or cat lovers. People were starving. Who cared about the lives of cats and dogs? Someone like Huang Han was indeed a rare case. Just as Liang Yuan and Ding Yan were busy clearing Building 3, making it more lively, on the opposite side of the corridor in Building 4, Chen Hong and Zhu Wen were already gathering a large number of people on the 32nd floor. Wang Zi and Shen Yuan were not present. Chen Hong and Zhu Wen exchanged glances. Zhu Wen looked at the noisy Building 3 opposite and said with a gloomy face, "Looks like our neighbor is really determined to be the boss. Making such a big fuss, does he think we don't know? He clearly wants to intervene in Buildings 4, 5, and 6. Brother Hong, what do you say?" Chen Hong grinned, his eyes malicious. "That kid Wang Zi has powers but is a coward who listens to women. We have to handle this ourselves. The old plan, we'll split into 2 teams, you go from the 32nd floor, I'll go and from the 13th floor. I've already investigated, that guy Liang lives in 3201. As long as we capture his family, he'll comply." Zhu Wen couldn't help but laugh. It was his idea, after all. He immediately said, "I heard that kid lets people trade fish for food at his place. He must have a lot of food at home. How do we split it?" "Half each." "Deal." The two chatted, even finalizing how to divide the spoils. They didn't consider Wang Zi's share at all, clearly not regarding him. Chen Hong waved, shouting, "Brothers, follow me downstairs." Chapter 97, Splitting the Army into 2 Paths, Raiding the Liang family's home. At that moment, he led a group of men and quickly went downstairs. Zhu Wen stood on the 32nd floor corridor, listening to the noise and commotion coming from the 3rd unit opposite, his lips curling slightly. A lackey beside him asked, "Brother Wen, are we heading out too?" Zhu Wen sneered, "What's the rush? Let Chen Hong go first." His scholarly appearance carried a hint of malice as he smiled. "Isn't he always the brawler? I want to see who can fight better, him or this Liang Yuan." The lackey couldn't help but say, "But what if he really gets to Liang's house first? Won't all the food be?" Zhu Wen chuckled, "Fool, even if Chen Hong kills Liang, how many men will he have left? When I arrive later, do you think he'd dare to turn against me?" The lackeys, realizing this, began to laugh as well. "Brother Wen, you're the smartest." "So smart, Brother Wen." "Ha ha, Chen Hong's a brainless fool. How can he compete with Brother Wen?" The group of lackeys laughed heartily, all trying to flatter Zhu Wen. Zhu Wen's lips curved up, his eyes gleaming with cunning. On the 12th floor, Chen Hong had already arrived with his men. The 12th floor of the 4th unit was already flooded. Now, unless it was Chen Hong's people, outsiders had no chance to fish here. Even if they wanted to fish here, they'd have to hand over at least half of their catch. Chen Hong arrived with his lackeys, scanning the fishermen around him. The fishermen immediately nodded and greeted him obsequiously. "Hello, Brother Hong. Brother Hong. Brother Hong, what brings you here?" Ignoring the flattery around him, Chen Hong shouted at an approaching subordinate, "Liang Dao, come here." The middle-aged man named Liang Dao hurried over, shouting from a distance, "Brother Hong." Chen Hong pointed at the corridor door, "Open the door." Liang Dao was taken aback and quickly said, "Brother Hong, if we open it, the fishermen from the 3rd unit might trespass." Chen Hong sneered, "Let them try. Just open the door, I'll take my men over and rob their fish first. You take the fish I rob back to my place." "What? Brother Hong, aren't you coming back? Why are you asking so many questions?" Chen Hong scolded. Liang Dao dared not speak further and hurriedly stepped forward to open the door. The chain was already rusty, but thankfully the lock was brass and less prone to rust. He unlocked the door and pushed open the corridor door. At this moment, the 12th floor corridor looked like a floating bridge on the water, with floodwaters already spilling over it. Waves rose and fell on both sides, occasionally splashing onto the corridor. Fish flashed by in the water, sometimes leaping out and landing directly on the corridor. Liang Dao looked towards the 3rd unit opposite. "Follow me." At his command, 7 or 8 lackeys immediately followed, charging towards the opposite corridor. The corridor door to the 3rd unit was unlocked. When Chen Hong pushed it open, the 6 or 7 residents fishing on the 12th floor of the 3rd unit were momentarily stunned. Chen Hong wasted no time and waved his hand, shouting, "Do it." Immediately, 7 or 8 lackeys rushed forward with kitchen knives, fruit knives, and fire axes. The fishing residents were so frightened that they screamed and ran, abandoning their fishing rods. Chen Hong, not wanting any information to leak, led the charge in the pursuit. These fishing residents were no match for Chin Hong in terms of stamina. They were cut down before they even reached the 13th floor. The brief clashes and desperate screams quickly faded. Chin Hong and his men were ruthless, making the battle one-sided. In less than 5 minutes, all the fishermen on the 12th floor were dead. Chin Hong said immediately, "Liang Deu, call people to clean up. The rest, follow me." He rushed to the corridor door between the 3rd and 2nd units. Seeing the chain lock on the door, Chin Hong sneered, "Li Xuming, break the lock." "Yes, Brother Hong." A man with a fire axe ran up and swung it hard at the lock. Clang. The iron lock on the corridor door was smashed to pieces. The commotion immediately alarmed the fishermen in the 2nd unit. Their faces changed, and one quickly muttered, "Not good, someone's breaking the corridor door." "Quick, inform Captain Zhang." The others reacted quickly, putting down their rods and taking out weapons to block the door. These people were different from those in the 3rd unit. People in the 2nd unit had been instructed by Zhang Peng and Wen Lily not to open the corridor door under any circumstances. They quickly realized the intruders had malicious intent. One person went to report, and the others, holding weapons, nervously watched the door. After a few more clangs, they heard a loud bang as the corridor door was kicked open. Chin Hong led the charge inside. 7 or 8 men stormed in, causing immediate panic among the fishermen inside. The fishermen were law-abiding citizens who were naturally not very brave. Seeing the intruders heavily armed and outnumbering them, their hearts filled with dread. Chin Hong struck first, slashing at the nearest resident. With a squelch, the blade cut deep into the resident's neck. He grinned viciously, "You little bastards, dare to stop me? Attack!" Clanging sounds filled the air as everyone broke into chaotic fighting. This was the time to fight ruthlessly. Those who had killed before were easily distinguished from those who hadn't. Chin Hong's men had all seen blood, fought like madmen, and every move was deadly. The 2nd unit's residents, on the other hand, were hesitant. At first touch, they were injured or killed. Fearful residents jumped into the flooded corridor in a panic. Chin Hong's bloodthirsty men jumped in after them. The 2 bodies floating in the corridor began to bleed, staining the water red. Suddenly, both men screamed. Mutant fish swarmed, tearing the 2 apart. Their screams were cut short as they were dragged underwater, blood bubbling up. Even Chin Hong, a seasoned killer, was forced to step back, fearing to get close. The floor was covered in blood. Residents lay dead or dying. Several escaped to the 13th floor, shouting for help. Chin Hong didn't pursue them. He knew time was precious and turned to the 1st unit's corridor, break the door. When drawing attention above, he aimed to break all the way to the 12th floor. Then, charge up to the 32nd floor. To storm Liang's lair and destroy his home. Chapter 98, The Furious Killing of Zhu. And no one in this world is a fool. Although Liang Yuan is cautious, his enemies are not wooden stakes waiting for him to investigate everything. Just after finishing the sweep of the 3rd floor, Liang Yuan and Ding Yan had returned to the 32nd floor of the 3rd unit. Zhang Peng and Wen Lily were already actively telling the people in the 3rd unit about Liang Yuan's heroic deeds. The young couple had already taken on the promotional work. Following behind Liang Yuan all the way, the homeowners of the 3rd unit had witnessed firsthand what Liang Yuan and Ding Yan had done. They truly believe that Liang Yuan is different from Liu Erlong. This one genuinely did not bully others or oppress the weak. Instead, he helped stabilize security for everyone and eliminate potential threats. "Everyone, I believe you've seen that Brother Liang and Sister Ding are not bad people. They sincerely do practical things for all of us, unlike Liu Erlong and Wang Zi's gang. Now they have swept the 3rd unit clean, those atrocious villains have fled to the 4th, 5th, and 6th units. As long as we lock the unit building, we can go downstairs to catch fish peacefully. Catching fish means at least we won't be hungry. If we catch enough fish, we can also go to the 1st unit to exchange fish for other food with Brother Liang. But one thing. There must be no more violent acts, theft, murder, rape, or other malicious incidents in our building, or you saw Brother Liang's methods just now. I don't need to say more. Does anyone have any questions now?" Wen Lily's eloquence was much better than Zhang Peng's, and coupled with her friendly appearance, she articulated the words thoroughly, drawing everyone's attention to her. Liang Yuan and Ding Yan did not speak, they just smiled behind her, endorsing her. Some words were naturally not suitable for Liang Yuan and Ding Yan to utter. Seeing his girlfriend being so impressive, Zhang Peng couldn't help but chuckle. The crowd immediately started asking questions. "Mr. Liang, what about those bastards who killed people? My sister was killed by them." "Exactly, Mr. Liang, those scumbags have fled to the 4th, 5th, and 6th units, will we just let them be free? Mr. Liang, is all the fish we catch ours? Do we need to turn in a portion? Mr. Liang, how do we exchange fish for food at your place? Are there any conditions? Mr. Liang, We want to move to the second unit, is that okay? The crowd, all talking at once, started asking many concerning questions. Some of them wanted revenge, hoping Liang Yuan would step forward and kill those who harmed them. Some were concerned about food, especially if they needed to submit part of their fish catch. Others were concerned about safety and wanted to move to the first or second unit. After all, the third unit was next to the fourth unit, too close to Wang Zi's gang, giving everyone a sense of crisis. Even though when Lily explained it, everyone still wanted Liang Yuan to speak and give them reassurance. Liang Yuan raised his hand and pressed it down in the air, and everyone quieted down immediately. Liang Yuan said, I already understand your concerns, let me give a unified response. First, regarding the fish catch, anyone from the first, second, and third units can go downstairs to catch fish. I, Liang Yuan, will not forcibly take any part of your catch. Secondly, as for exchanging fish for food, you can go to the first unit where there are designated people to answer. Besides exchanging for food, you can also exchange for many other things to eat and drink. There's even someone in the first unit who makes buns. If you're tired of rice, you can try the buns. Regarding moving houses, I'm very sorry, the first and second units already have residents. They're not your home. I don't have the authority to let you move there. Mr. Liang, I heard the first unit is haunted. Lots of people died and there are many vacant rooms. Someone couldn't help asking. Liang Yuan glanced at that person and smiled. Oh, those vacant rooms now belong to me. The person immediately shut their mouth, stunned. Liang Yuan said calmly, everyone, the haunting in the first unit was resolved by me. Liu Erlong's gang was killed by me. Everything he had naturally belongs to me. Is there any problem? Everyone kept quiet, but some couldn't help but whisper, why do you need so many rooms alone? Liang Yuan's spirit attribute was as high as 7.7, with highly developed 5 senses. Naturally he couldn't miss the murmurs. He glanced at that person and said, what did you say? The person quickly withdrew into the crowd, shaking their head repeatedly. Liang Yuan said calmly, all vacant rooms in the first, second, and now the third units will be arranged by me. I will form patrol teams in each unit to maintain security. All patrol team members will get housing and enjoy discounts when exchanging food with me. Those who make significant contributions will receive special rewards. These rules will apply not only to the current first, second, and third units, but also to the fourth, fifth, and sixth units in the future. After saying this, he looked around at the crowd and asked, does anyone have any objections? Everyone shook their heads quickly. Some strong youngsters raised their hands and asked, Mr. Liang, what are the requirements for being a patrol team member? Can I join? The selection of patrol team members will be handled by Miss Ting later. Chapter 98, Furious Assassination of Zhu and Mr. Liang. What about those bastards from Units 4, 5, and 6? Someone brought up the topic again. Quite a few people here had deep enmities with those over there. Obviously never-ending thoughts of revenge. Liang Yuan smiled, didn't you get what I said? I mentioned before, from now on, buildings 4, 5, and 6 will also follow my rules. The person was taken aback upon hearing it, then immediately understood. Doesn't this mean they still have to fight the people from buildings 4, 5, and 6? Everyone couldn't help feeling both thrilled and apprehensive, discussing all at once. Just as everyone was discussing, a mocking voice suddenly echoed from the end of the corridor on the 32nd floor. Hey, quite the big talker, aren't we? Liang Yuan and Ding Yan couldn't help but look towards the corridor. Across the corridor, they saw a refined-looking young man standing at the entrance of the corridor leading to Unit 4. He was flanked by a group of sturdy young men wielding knives and sticks. Zhuwen. It's that guy. Actually him. The people on the Unit 3 side were instantly startled, instinctively stepping back. Some even fled towards Unit 2. Liang Yuan glanced at the homeowners around him, frowning inwardly. These people were similar to the owners from Unit 1, all oppressed figures. It was obvious that this was just a disorganized mob, with no hope relying on them. Looks like he'd have to properly train the patrol team in the later stages. In a flash, Liang Yuan's thoughts passed, and turned his gaze towards the other group. Zhuwen, impressions of him that Zheng Guoqian and others had mentioned previously, flashed in Liang Yuan's mind. This man was cunning, deceitful, and extremely lecherous. Doesn't seem like he can fight very well. Liang Yuan thought to himself, but his vigilance grew. Someone who seems weak yet can become the core of a criminal gang must have something extraordinary. He was likely a mutant ability user. Liang Yuan's eyes slightly narrowed as he discreetly grabbed an iron nail. He pushed the others aside and walked towards the opposite corridor, a Glock in his right hand. He walked slowly towards the opposite side, saying lightly, I didn't quite catch it, come over here and say it to my face. He raised the Glock in his right hand, beckoning to Zhu Wen on the opposite side. Zhu Wen's expression changed instantly, staring intently at the gun in Liang Yuan's hand. Although he had heard that Liang Yuan carried a gun, seeing it in person was still shocking. He sneered, "Hey, I wondered why you're so arrogant, so it's all for that gun? How many bullets do you have left? I heard you killed Liu Erlong and several other mutated creatures first. How many bullets can you have left? I have so many brothers, can you kill us all?" Liang Yuan grinned upon hearing this and said, "No need to kill you all, just killing you alone is enough. What's the matter? You're so tough, what are you hiding in the back for? Come, step forward." After speaking, he looked at the others around Zhu Wen and smiled, "You people sure are loyal, aren't you? Willing to take a bullet for a lecture too?" With that, Liang Yuan suddenly raised his hand and pulled the trigger. Bang! The gunfire erupted, a flash of light, and the smell of gunpowder filled the air. Before anyone could react, someone beside Zhu Wen had already fallen. In an instant, Zhu Wen's men were shocked, cursing and retreating. Nobody expected Liang Yuan to strike so suddenly. One shot fired, failing to kill Zhu Wen. Liang Yuan frowned, lamenting his poor marksmanship. He suddenly slammed his left hand down. Whoosh! The sound of something piercing through the air tore through their eardrums, a flash of black light. In an instant, the iron nail was launched, shooting forward. Thud! The person closest to him had a blood hole open in their forehead. With nearly 5 points of strength, the iron nail launched by Liang Yuan was more terrifying than a nail gun. Following the successful hit, Liang Yuan stomped hard on the ground. With a burst of 4.8 agility, he covered several meters in almost an instant, crashing into the crowd. With an iron rod in hand, he swung and hit ferociously, thud, thud, thud. In an instant, Zhu Wen's men were like paper, bones breaking all around. Blood splattering, bodies flying like sandbags. Liang Yuan moved as fast as lightning. Even Ding Yin took a few seconds to react before quickly rushing to help. Her feet emitted a burst of empowerment glow, she covered several meters in a step, rapidly catching up to Liang Yuan. The two of them were like tigers in a flock of sheep, punching and swinging with roaring fist force. Zhu Wen's face changed drastically, mutant ability user. He finally displayed fear, initially thinking Liang Yuan had just killed Liu Erlong with a gun. But now he realized, this Liang Yuan, whether in speed or strength, far exceeded an ordinary human. This wasn't combat power a normal person could exhibit. He was definitely a mutant ability user. Zhu Wen's heart pounded frantically, noticing Ding Yin charging in. His scalp went numb again. Ding Yin was also a mutant ability user. There were two mutant ability users on the opposite side, damn it. His heart pounded in a mix of shock and anger. Ignoring anything else, he shouted, "Liang, your home base is being raided, and you're still here fighting us?" Liang Yuan halted abruptly, raising his head and glaring at Zhu Wen. "What did you say?" Zhu Wen deflected the trouble eastward, laughing wildly. "Do you know Chen Hong? That murderer is leading men from the 12th floor to raid your home base. And you're still here fighting us? Ha ha ha." Liang Yuan's face turned extremely grim. In the next moment, he roared, "Die, all of you." Chapter 98, Furious Killing of Zhu Wen. Boom. His figure instantly transformed into a blur. With extreme agility, the steel rod in his hand swung into a fan-shaped area. Bam bam bam. 3 heads in a row exploded under his blows. Under the berserk force, every attack of his was incredibly violent. Panic screams ensued. Liang Yuan was covered in blood, brains splattered everywhere around him. He lifted his foot, and a middle-aged man's chest was instantly shattered with a crunch, sending him rolling off the corridor. A little underling fled in panic towards the stairs. Liang Yuan suddenly grabbed him by the leg, his 5 fingers tightened abruptly. Crunch! Under the immense grip, the man's leg bone instantly fractured, and he let out a wretched scream. Liang Yuan's arm exerted force suddenly, lifting him up and using him as a human club, smashing forward viciously. Crash! 3 or 4 people on the opposite side were knocked to the ground with a wretched howl. Zhu Wen on the opposite side was completely terrified. He had never seen such a brutal way of killing. Liang Yuan's eyes were red. Without saying a word, he stepped forward, his body like lightning, turning into a blur, and instantly appeared in front of Zhu Wen. Zhu Wen in terror, spare. Squish. A steel rod pierced through his mouth, straight through to the back of his head. The end of the crowbar was dripping with blood, mixed with white brains. Zhu Wen let out a few weak screams before finally losing his breath. Liang Yuan raised an eyebrow, somewhat surprised. At this moment, a system prompt sounded in his mind. "You have killed the mutant creature, gaining 8 points." Only then did he confirm that Zhu Wen was not a mutant ability user. This guy was really killed by him so casually. How did this guy mix into Wang Zi's gang? And even became a right-hand man? The iron nails floating behind Liang Yuan hadn't even been used. He flicked his wrist, pulling out the crowbar with a squish. Ding Yan was also stunned, watching Liang Yuan in disbelief. Liang Yuan's outburst just now really scared her. Even if she had awakened her mutant abilities and used empowerment, she couldn't be this fierce. Liang Yuan, have you awakened? Suddenly, she seemed to understand something, immediately overjoyed, and hurriedly inquired. Liang Yuan smiled, implicitly confirming. In a low voice, he said, "You handle this, I'll go back immediately." Ding Yan also snapped back to reality, her face immediately solemn. "Be careful." Liang Yuan immediately turned around, his figure turning into a blur, sprinting towards Block 1. The speed was so fast that Ding Yan was once again astonished. Has he awakened speed-type mutant abilities? This speed is no worse than Wang Yanmai's back then. No, his explosive power is also strong, more terrifying than when I used empowerment. What exactly has he awakened? For a moment, Ding Yan couldn't help but feel puzzled. Meanwhile, the residents of Block 3 witnessing this chaotic battle became excited. Holy shit, can a human do this? Ah! People are dead, people are dead. Mr. Liang. So terrifying. Zhuan is dead. That bastard Zhuan is dead. Great, great, Mr. Liang killed Zhuan. Exclamations, sighs, and cheers constantly emerged from the crowd. The people in Block 3 almost started sharing the news, immensely excited. Seeing Liang Yuan's terrifying combat power, they instantly seemed to find their backbone. For a moment, everyone was excited, and their fear of Wang Zi's gang dropped to the lowest level. Many of them immediately went back to get knives and clubs, ready to follow Ding Yan to Block 3. Liang Yuan didn't know the commotion he caused in Block 3, he ran at full speed, reaching the extreme. In almost a dozen breaths, he had raced from Block 4 to Block 1. The people in the corridor couldn't even see his figure clearly, they only felt a gust of wind sweep by, and then saw a blur of a figure flash past. Upon reaching Block 1, seeing many people queuing at their door, and Zhao Kai still guarding the corridor, he breathed a sigh of relief. Zhao Kai saw Liang Yuan and curiously asked, "Brother Liang, where's Sister Ding? Didn't she come back with you?" Liang Yuan said in a low voice, "I received news that someone is sneaking in from the 12th floor corridor." Zhao Kai was startled by the news, hastily saying, "I didn't see any enemies." Before he finished speaking, he heard cries for help from downstairs. Liang Yuan's face darkened instantly, saying, "You call old Ma and Brother Kai to guard at home, I'll go down and check." Without further ado, he rushed downstairs immediately. With his speed, he could cover one floor in almost one breath. In 6 or 7 breaths, he had reached the 14th floor. He saw several people climbing upstairs in panic. Liang Yuan glanced at them, they looked familiar, from Block 2. One of them was named Banji, who had previously come to Liang Yuan's house to trade food. Liang Yuan grabbed him and asked fiercely, "What's going on?" "Chen Hong. Chen Hong from Block 4 is here to kill." Panji shouted in panic. Liang Yuan's face darkened, but he didn't forget to ask, "What's he capable of? Has he shown any mutant awakening abilities?" This was what Liang Yuan cared about the most. Panji hesitated, shaking his head repeatedly. "No, didn't see anything, they're fierce as hell, killing whoever they see. Old Hu the bun seller, old Liu, and those 2 girls are downstairs, they're in trouble." Liang Yuan's expression immediately changed, and he leaped forward, skipping 7 or 8 steps, instantly landing on the next floor. In less than 2 breaths, he had reached the 12th floor. By now, the 12th floor was already flooded to the ankles. He ran, splashing water all over the steps. Liang Yuan landed, splashing water, immediately looking at the chaotic corridor. He saw several bodies on the ground. Liu Fei was lying in a corner, Song Wen anxiously calling her. Liu Danian and Hueman stood fearfully with weapons, shielding the 2 girls. Opposite them stood a burly man with a vicious face. There were 7 or 8 young men around the man. Don't come closer," Liu Danian shouted fiercely. Hueman's eyes were filled with anxiety, not daring to look back, urging, "Zia Song, take Fei and go quickly." Chen Hong touched a scar on his chest, with a hint of seriousness on his face. "A newly awakened mutant ability user, if I control her, I might be able to challenge Wang Zi." His eyes flickered, staring intently at Song Wen, ignoring Hueman and Liu Danian. Chapter 99, Song Wen awakens, Chen Hong dies tragically, mutant octopus. Time goes back to 1 minute ago. Song Wen, Liu Fei, Liu Danian, and Hueman were working together to catch fish. This time, the fishing net unexpectedly scooped up a large shell. Song Wen remembered the high price Liang Yuan had offered her, and she was overjoyed. She immediately went forward to pick up the large shell. At this moment, Chen Hong and his group pried open the corridor door lock and charged in. The surroundings instantly became chaotic, with screams continuously ringing out. Songwen and the others were also scared stiff. Someone shouted that Mr. Liang would not let them get away with this. Chen Hong's group grinned menacingly and kept chopping people down, completely unafraid of Liang Yuan's name. One of Chen Hong's underlings was about to slice Liu Fei with his knife. Songwen didn't have time to think and hurriedly used the shell as a shield, holding it in front of Liu Fei. The underling was strong, and his knife directly shattered the shell. Suddenly, the shell opened its mouth and clamped down on the man's arm, and at the same time, a green pearl fell out. The underling cried out in pain, his face torn between shock and anger, and he frantically shook his arm. The green pearl spun inside the shell and then shot out from the opening, hitting Songwen directly in the mouth. Songwen didn't even have time to react and instinctively swallowed it down. She immediately felt an unusual warmth spreading through her body, as if a flow of heat was circulating inside her. The spot on her hand, cut by the shell, was visibly scabbing over and stopping the bleeding. The underling roared in anger, unable to shake off the shell, and swung it towards Songwen. Songwen screamed in terror, hugging her head to dodge, but the shell hit Liu Fei on the head behind her instead. Liu Fei's eyes rolled back, and she collapsed to the ground with a thud. Songwen was scared stiff and hurried to pull Liu Fei up. At this moment, a bloodthirsty Chen Hong charged over, ready to strike Songwen with his knife. In her terror, Songwen instinctively raised her hand. Immediately, green light began to flicker in her palm. In an instant, the green light burst forth, and a huge green ribbon broke through the water nearby. This startling transformation left even Chen Hong, a seasoned killer, unable to react in time. He was directly knocked over by the green ribbon. Chen Hong, with his strong build, wasn't injured and quickly got back up. He quickly looked at the ribbon and then realized it wasn't a ribbon at all but a giant piece of seaweed. Stunned, he looked back at the green light in Songwen's hand, his heart pounding wildly. At this moment, Liu Danian and Huamin finally rushed over, standing protectively in front of the two girls. The standoff formed the scene Liang Yuan had just witnessed. "If you don't want to die, get lost." Chen Hong suppressed his excitement, pointing his watermelon knife directly at Liu Danian and Huamin. Liu Danian and Huamin's faces went pale, their legs trembling. "Liu Danian, you guys better not cause trouble, this is Mr. Liang's territory, he won't let you go." Huamin quickly echoed, Yes, Mr. Liang won't let you go." Chen Hong sneered, "Liang? After I'm done with you, I'll go find him. Attack." He waved his hand, and his underlings immediately gripped their knives, ready to charge. Whoa! A piercing sound suddenly came from the staircase. Before Chen Hong could react, one of his underlings' head suddenly exploded. Bang! A steel crowbar was violently driven into the corridor floor, causing a splash of water and brain matter. Immediately, a figure leapt down from the stairwell, landing in the water with a splash. The man was burly, with bulging muscles, a stern face, and eyes that glimmered like electricity. "Mr. Liang!" Songwen cried out in surprise and joy. Huamin and Liu Danian also couldn't hide their joy and shouted, "Mr. Liang!" Chen Hong's charging underlings were intimidated by Liang Yuan's presence and stopped in their tracks, unable to help but glance at the decapitated corpse. Seeing the steel bar embedded in the floor, they involuntarily took a gulp of cold air and stepped back a few paces. Chen Hong's expression also changed, his eyes scanning the headless corpse and the deeply embedded steel bar, with alarm bells ringing in his head. He looked up at Liang Yuan, his mouth moving as if to say something, but he didn't know what to say. Liang Yuan stared coldly at the group. "Chen Hong, right? You said you were looking for me?" He took a step towards them. With each step he took, the group stepped back in fear. Chen Hong's expression showed a mix of fear and trepidation as he took a step back, saying, "You're a mutant ability user." Liang Yuan reached out and pulled the steel bar from the floor, smirking, "You know about mutant ability users. Looks like the Wang Zi behind you is also a mutant ability user?" Chen Hong realized his slip of the tongue and quickly shut his mouth. Without another word, he shouted, "Go. Kill him, and I'll give each of you a bag of rice, as I promised." Despite his roar, no one dared to move. Because Liang Yuan had already pulled out the steel bar and was smirking at them. In a fit of rage, Chen Hong pushed two of his underlings forward, cursing, "Go." The two underlings, with no retreat, exchanged a glance and showed a vicious expression, gritting their teeth and shouting, "Damn you! Kill him!" The two charged simultaneously, one aiming at Liang Yuan's head and the other at his stomach. Chapter 99, Songwen Awakens, Chen Hong Dies Tragically, Mutant Octopus. These two were obviously killers and very experienced fighters, attacking from the left and right, from above and below. However, in Liang Yuan's eyes, all of this was too slow. Liang Yuan's spiritual power, reaching as high as 7.7, operated at nearly 7 times the thinking speed of an ordinary person. To Liang Yuan, their movements, footsteps, even their breathing, seemed to be 7 times slower. Whoosh! Liang Yuan moved, and in an instant, the sound of breaking through the air rang out. Boom! Swish! In the span of 2 odd sounds, no one even saw Liang Yuan's move, only to find he had already passed through the 2 men. The 2 stumbled like wooden statues, and suddenly, someone with sharp eyes saw that the man on the left had his head pierced by a steel crowbar. The man on the right had no visible wounds on his body. Both of them collapsed to the ground at almost the same moment. Liang Yuan didn't even look back. He turned to Chen Hong. Your turn. Chen Hong shivered. Strength type. No, speed type. Run. Run fast. At that moment, this usually fierce and feared killer chose to flee without hesitation. Killing ordinary people was like slaughtering chickens and dogs to him, showing no mercy. But when faced with Liang Yuan, he was the chicken or dog. At that moment, all his killer reputation, all his fierceness as Brother Hong, became useless. All he wanted was to run. He knew too well the horror of mutant ability users. Ah! Brother Hong, save me. Spare me, spare. The cries and screams of his subordinates continually echoed behind him. But no one could finish a full sentence. Chen Hong felt a chill run down his spine, and he ran for his life with all his might. Run. Escape fast. If he catches me, I'll die. His thoughts raced as his heels nearly hit his buttocks. His fleeing posture was extremely frantic. Thud. A sudden dull sound, and the next moment, Chen Hong felt one of his legs go numb. He uncontrollably fell forward. Boom. His head hit the ground, immediately splitting open and bleeding. Ah! The intense pain made him scream, and he hurriedly tried to get up. But then a sharp pain emanated from his left leg too. He turned his head and screamed in terror, my leg, my leg. His left leg, from below the knee, had been chopped off by an axe. The axe was embedded in the floor, and his lower leg fell to the side, covered in blood. Terrified, Chen Hong propped himself up with his hands, hopping on one leg, supporting himself on the wall to keep fleeing. As he escaped, he shouted, I'm under Brother Z's protection, you can't kill me, if you do, Brother Z won't let you go. Brother Z is also a mutant ability user, you can't beat him, he'll kill you. He continued to shout and threaten. Liang Yuan casually caught up. He raised the crowbar in his hand once more. Whoosh! With a swing, the sound of air breaking exploded. The crowbar directly pierced through Chen Hong's chest. Chen Hong screamed in agony, falling to the ground once again. He wasn't dead yet and kept crawling with all his limbs. The corridor was stained with his blood, mixing with seawater, and dispersing into the floods on both sides, attracting a large group of mutant fish to jump crazily in the water. Liang Yuan walked up behind Chen Hong and stepped on his back. Chen Hong clawed at the ground desperately. This once feared killer was now full of terror, his face covered in tears and snot. Spare me, I won't dare again. I really won't dare again. Liang Yuan picked up the crowbar on the ground, aimed it slowly at the back of his head, and said, You've heard this kind of plea many times, haven't you? Did you ever spare those people back then? I was wrong, I know I was wrong, Boss Liang, I'll do anything you say, just please, let me go. I was just a delivery guy, I was bullied for too long, I really don't dare anymore. This serial killer Chen Hong, feared by all, was merely a delivery man before the Great Flood. Living at the bottom of society, he had faced unfair treatment and bullying. After the Great Flood, with no law or moral constraints, the darkest side of his heart was unleashed. Robbery, rape, he committed all kinds of crimes. Power in hand, he killed mercilessly. But little did he know, in others' eyes, he was nothing but an evil dog beside Wang Zi. Liang Yuan ignored his pleading and coldly asked, Where is Wang Zi? What is his mutant ability? Chen Hong suddenly raised his head and hurriedly asked, If I tell you, will you let me go? Liang Yuan sneered, Sure. An instant of joy flashed across Chen Hong's face, but he soon realized Liang Yuan was surely deceiving him. He immediately begged, I will tell you everything I know, just let me live. Wang Zi's ability is very powerful, no one can break it. Even if you have speed-type mutant abilities, you'll only meet death facing him. Without me, you can't defeat him. You'll die at his hands. Chen Hong kept pleading, continuously talking about how terrifying Wang Zi was. Liang Yuan frowned slightly and coldly said, Then tell me, where is he terrifying? Save me first, help me first. Chen Hong wouldn't yield, still bargaining. He felt his breathing becoming more difficult. The bleeding hole in his chest had punctured his lung. With his lung function failing and losing blood from his severed leg, he couldn't hold on any longer. Liang Yuan looked at him impassively and said, You won't survive. Instead of dying alone, why not take Wang Zi with you? Tell me. Chapter 99, Songwen awakens, Shenhong dies tragically, Mutant Octopus. No, I don't want to die. Save me. You're a mutant ability user, you must have a way. Save me. Shenhong pleaded desperately, but his vision was getting darker and weaker. Breathing heavily, his voice grew softer, almost a whisper, save me. Save me. I don't want to. He didn't finish his words before losing consciousness. Blood flowed, washed away by the flood. Liang Yuan shook his head, pondering Shenhong's last words. Wang Zi is very powerful? His abilities are very strange? What exactly are Wang Zi's abilities? He was cautiously thoughtful. The people Shenhong brought had all died. Most of the bodies lay on the corridor of the first and second units. Liang Yuan thought for a moment, then turned back to the corridor of the first unit to check on Songwen and the others. Boom. Just as he was about to turn, the entire corridor suddenly shook violently. A massive black shadow burst out of the flood outside the corridor. Then, a tentacle instantly smashed into the corridor. This sudden attack left Liang Yuan with no time to react. The corridor roared, large stones shattered, and bricks broke apart, making Liang Yuan unstable and fall into the water. Splash. This moment felt like a drop of water falling into a pot of oil, causing the flood to boil instantly. Countless mutant fish smelled the scent and attacked wildly. Liang Yuan's face changed drastically. He kicked the water hard, and with the immense force, he rose up. But with the water's resistance, he couldn't get out of the water. He urgently flailed his arms, swimming desperately. The iron sheets in his clothes made it difficult for Liang Yuan to float. Mutant fish around him fiercely bit him, but fortunately, his constitution had reached 4.8, and his defense power was strong enough. Most mutant fish couldn't break his skin, but the stinging sensation from countless bites still frightened him. Splash, splash. Outside the corridor, a giant tentacle kept swinging and smashing the building walls. The entire building trembled, the corridor bodies were rolled up by the waves. The giant tentacle grabbed the bodies and dragged them underwater. The sight frightened Liang Yuan, his body sank, heading underwater. He quickly took off his iron-laden jacket, feeling instantly lighter. He then frantically swung his arms, swimming upstream rapidly. In an instant, he reached the windowsill of a 12th-floor apartment. Without hesitation, he grabbed the windowsill and climbed up urgently. As he exited the water, mutant fish clung to his body. The mutant fish hung onto his clothes and hair, refusing to let go. Liang Yuan couldn't deal with them at the moment, using his hands and feet to climb over the 12th floor and rolled into a room. Then he urgently shook his body, throwing down dozens of fish. He lifted his foot and stomped down hard, crunching sounds echoed as he smashed all the mutant fish. Instantly, numerous points were credited to him. Liang Yuan didn't care about the points, his eyes fixed on the window. The tentacle dragged the bodies underwater and slowly sank. Only now did Liang Yuan see the shadow's true form underwater. It was a giant octopus. A single tentacle was nearly 10 meters long, with a diameter exceeding 2 meters. And that was just one tentacle, the entire body might be as tall as a floor. Liang Yuan's face turned grim. Mutant creatures are getting stronger. This octopus's mutation progress must be over 30%. I'm still not strong enough, far from it. The sense of crisis in his heart escalated rapidly. The mutant octopus gathered the corpses, dragged them underwater, and disappeared slowly. Rain continued to pour down, and everything seemed to calm down. Only the broken corridor told the tale of the previous danger. Liang Yuan steadied his mind, quickly left through the door, and went along the stairs to the 13th floor, returning to the first unit through the corridor of the 13th floor. Now the corridor between the first and second units on the 12th floor was broken and basically non-passable. But the water level had risen, and sooner or later, it would be completely impassable. What was more worrying now was whether the damage caused by the mutant octopus to this layer of the corridor would affect the entire building structure. This building is ultimately not stable enough, sooner or later, we must leave it. He made up his mind, he had to hasten the construction of the raft. Meanwhile, he realized the mutant octopus was likely attracted by the blood. From now on, disposing of bodies was not as simple as throwing them into the nearby flood. Otherwise, attracting large mutant creatures would spell trouble. Mr. Liang, please save Fi. Liu Danian fell to his knees in front of Liang Yuan, tears streaming down his face, pleading. Liang Yuan helped him up and said solemnly, Uncle Liu, don't panic. Let me have a look. He glanced at Songwen who was squatting beside Liu Fi and asked, what's the situation now? Does she have breathing? Songwen quickly said, yes, she has breathing. She was hit on the head earlier and has been unconscious since then. It's all my fault, if I hadn't dodged earlier, Fi. Songwen's eyes reddened, tears streaming down. Since she joined the small team formed by Liu, it was the first time she felt warmth after the apocalyptic flood. Being close in age with Liu Fei, they talked a lot and were almost inseparable every day, forming a deep bond. Her self-blame at this moment was genuine. Liang Yuan checked Liu Fei's breathing and found she still had it. He then examined Liu Fei's forehead and found it swollen. He immediately said, "No skin break, only swollen. She might just be unconscious. Let's take her back and check." A head injury could be serious, but if there's no internal bleeding, it might not be a big deal. However, if there's brain bleeding, it would be a major problem. Liang Yuan picked up Liu Fei, noticing the green glow from Songwen's hand earlier. He asked, "Did you awaken your mutant ability?" "Huh? I don't know. I ate a green beet earlier and felt my body heat up." Songwen quickly explained, the earlier danger made her forget about this event. Liang Yuan didn't press for more details and carried Liu Fei, leading the three of them upstairs swiftly. The immediate priority was to deal with Wang Zi. He didn't know how Ding Yan was doing. Chapter 100 Wang Zi's mutant ability. A group of people quickly went upstairs, with many thoughts in their minds but no time to share them. When they reached the 17th floor, Kaizi hurried down with his team, and they met each other here. Kaizi anxiously said, "Liang Yuan, are you alright? Zhao Kai told me everything." Liang Yuan shook his head, "I'm fine. How are things upstairs?" "Everything is good upstairs. Zhao Kai and Old Ma are guarding the place, and I also had Yang Mai and my family lock the doors." Liang Yuan felt a bit more at ease and said, "I've dealt with the enemies downstairs. Liu Fei is injured in the head and might be unconscious. She needs to be taken back to rest. Don't go near the 12th floor either. There's a large creature hiding there. Tell everyone to stay away for now. I need to go to Unit 4 immediately. Ding Yan is still there." He quickly gave orders, and Kaizen nodded and agreed to each one. Handing Liu Fei over to Kaizen and the others, Liang Yuan looked at Songwen and said, "Since you've awakened your mutant ability, study what it is quickly. I'll look for you when I get back." Without waiting for Songwen to respond, his figure moved like lightning, rapidly heading to the 32nd floor. In less than 10 breaths, Liang Yuan had crossed several floors and reached the 32nd floor. At the doorway, Zhao Kai, Old Ma, and other patrol team members greeted Liang Yuan. Liang Yuan didn't exchange pleasantries with them, he just said, "Guard Unit 1 properly." After saying that, he immediately rushed towards the corridor. The place was desolate. The previous chaos had driven the curious residents back into their homes. When Liang Yuan reached Unit 4, he found that the bodies on the ground had been cleaned up. Ding Yan, Zhang Bing, Win Lily, and others were nowhere to be seen. He looked at the bloodstains on the edge of the corridor and understood at once. It wasn't just Chen Hong's group of corpses that attracted the octopus. Ding Yan and the others probably threw the bodies into the water too, attracting the mutant octopus with the blood. His heart sank slightly, resolving anew to avoid disposing of bodies in the water around the building in the future. Boom. Suddenly, a loud noise came from the end of the corridor, in the direction of Unit 6. Faintly, there seemed to be sounds of roaring and screaming. Liang Yuan's heart leaped. Is that Ding Yan's voice? He hurriedly rushed to Unit 6. Passing through the corridor of Unit 5, there were still many corpses on the ground. The corridor was stained with blood, being washed red by the rainwater coming in. Liang Yuan quickly stepped over the bodies and rushed to Unit 6. On the corridor of Unit 6, he saw Ding Yan wielding a dagger, fiercely attacking. Zhang Bing, Win Lily, and the others were scared and running downstairs. What made Liang Yuan frown deeply was that Ding Yan's explosive power was extremely strong with her empowered limbs. But there was clearly no one in front of her. It seemed like she was fighting with the air, desperately battling. This made Liang Yuan uncertain and apprehensive. He immediately rushed over and shouted, "Ding Yan! What are you doing?" Unexpectedly, Ding Yan heard the commotion and abruptly turned around. Her right foot stomped on the ground fiercely, the empowerment light flashed, and she instantly transformed into a shadow, rushing towards Liang Yuan at high speed. Liang Yuan's expression changed, he quickly stopped, and sidestepped. Whoosh! Ding Yan's dagger sliced through the air, producing a whistling sound. Ding Yan! Liang Yuan couldn't help but shout. He didn't understand why Ding Yan was attacking him. Without turning her head, Ding Yan directly swung her arm, stabbing the dagger fiercely towards Liang Yuan's abdomen. Liang Yuan's fury and shock intertwined, he could no longer hold back. He kicked out forcefully. Boom! The kick exploded with power, directly hitting Ding Yan's abdomen. Instantly, the empowerment light flickered on Ding Yan's chest, only to shatter immediately. Her whole body was sent flying by Liang Yuan's powerful kick. Liang Yuan's power had reached a high of 4.9, nearly 5 times that of an ordinary person. Even with her empowerment increasing explosive power and defense, Ding Yan could not withstand his immense strength. Liang Yuan continued forward, his foot stomping the ground, and his body shot out, reaching Ding Yan in a flash. Ding Yan's mouth bled, but her eyes remained fierce. She reached for the dagger on the ground, preparing to continue fighting. Liang Yuan stepped on her hand fiercely, pressing his palm down instantly, pinning Ding Yan's head to the ground. He shouted sternly, "Ding Yan! What are you doing?" Ding Yan glared with hatred, cursing, "Beast, I'll kill you, I'll kill you." Liang Yuan's eyelids twitched, realizing something was wrong. At that moment, Ding Yan's eyes were full of hatred and madness, as if she didn't recognize him at all. She struggled violently, her other hand glowing with empowerment light, swinging a punch towards Liang Yuan. Liang Yuan grabbed her fist with his other hand. Despite the trembling of the light on her fist and the bulging veins, it was all in vain. "What's wrong with you?" Liang Yuan shouted angrily, pressing down on her head with his hand, unable to hold back strength. Ding Yan screamed and roared, becoming even more frantic. Liang Yuan's gaze became grim. Without a word, he struck with a chopping hand. Bang! The hand chop landed directly on Ding Yan's neck. Instantly, the defensive empowerment glowed on her neck. Only to be shattered by the immense force, her eyes rolled up, her body went limp, and she collapsed to the ground. Liang Yuan finally released Ding Yan, turning to look at the terrified Zhang Peng and the others not far away. "What the hell is going on? Zhang Peng, tell me." Zhang Peng, being called by name by Liang Yuan, instinctively shouted, "Brother Liang, Sister Ding has gone mad. We don't know why, but she was chasing us trying to kill us." Chapter 100 Wang Zi's mutant ability. When Lily hurriedly shouted, "Brother Liang, Sister Ding was perfectly fine before, but she's like this after entering the 6th unit." Liang Yuan couldn't help but furrow his brows, immediately realizing something. Is it Wang Zi? He immediately looked toward room 3212 of the 6th unit. At this time, there were still more than 5 meters away from that room's door, and Zhang Peng and others were hiding in the corridor. Did Ding Yan suddenly go crazy and start killing people here? His expression instantly became solemn. Is Wang Zi's mutant ability making people go mad? His face darkened slightly, stood up, pulled out his gun, but didn't rush over recklessly. "Zhang Peng, take a few people and ram the door." Liang Yuan shouted. Zhang Peng's expression suddenly froze, his face turned somewhat pale. "Brother Liang." His legs went weak, how could he dare to go over there? Even if he were stupid, he would know that Ding Yan's madness likely had something to do with Wang Zi behind this door. But now that Liang Yuan had spoken, if he didn't obey orders, how could he still mingle in the future? While he hesitated, his girlfriend Wen Lily suddenly stood up and shouted loudly, "I'll go." Immediately, without waiting for Zhang Peng to react, Wen Lily gritted her teeth and fiercely rammed into the door of 3212. Bang! A muffled sound. Naturally, this door wouldn't be knocked open by Wen Lily, a delicate woman. But with her leading the way, others' courage instantly swelled up. Zhang Peng's blood surged immediately and yelled to others, "Ram the door together." Encouraged, others rushed forward, preparing to ram the door. Just as everyone was about to break through, the door suddenly creaked open. Immediately, everyone stood still. Liang Yuan, separated by a distance, saw everyone motionless and couldn't help but furrow his brows. "Zhang Peng, Wen Lily, what's going on inside?" He couldn't help but inquire. As he spoke, everyone suddenly turned around in unison, looking at Liang Yuan. Liang Yuan saw that the previously agitated crowd, at this moment, suddenly looked cold and full of hatred towards him. He couldn't help but be startled. "You all." Not waiting for him to speak, Zhang Peng and Wen Lily suddenly shouted, "Kill him." Immediately, this group went crazy, raising their weapons, and charged at Liang Yuan. Liang Yuan's face changed drastically, both shocked and furious. "Are you all insane?" He roared angrily, quickly dodging backward. However, these people were indeed mad, wielding kitchen knives and daggers, attacking Liang Yuan desperately. Liang Yuan dodged several times, but even so, he couldn't fend off them all, being lightly injured by Zhang Peng's dagger, a slash to his arm. Nevertheless, his constitution, as high as 4.7, dramatically boosted his defense power. The slash merely brought slight pain yet didn't actually cut his skin. But indeed, this enraged Liang Yuan instantly. He stopped dodging and started punching fiercely. Bang! One punch struck a patrol team member's neck, and instantly, the person rolled his eyes and collapsed to the ground. Liang Yuan didn't stop, his punches continued swinging fiercely. Bang! 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 A few continuous punches, and immediately, several people fell consecutively. Facing Zhang Peng, Liang Yuan changed his punch into a slap, hitting Zhang Peng's face directly. Zhang Peng's face swelled up immediately, trigeminal nerves struck, his gaze seemed to clear up a bit. He instinctively spoke, "Brother Liang." Then his mind suddenly muddled again, and when Lily beside him also rushed to attack Liang Yuan. Liang Yuan frowned, casually chopping again. Bang, when Lily collapsed to the ground. At this moment, Zhang Peng rushed again to attack Liang Yuan. Evidently, his mind seemed to confuse again. Liang Yuan's face turned grim, lightly punched, directly knocking out Zhang Peng. In an instant, bodies lay scattered across the corridor. Liang Yuan scanned these people, fixing his gaze on the open 3212 door. What a formidable ability, manipulating their thoughts. Liang Yuan glanced at his own attribute panel. His spirit attribute was as high as 7.7, he wondered if the opponent could control his thoughts. While he hesitated slightly, suddenly a seductive, beautiful woman walked out from the door. She smiled, standing at the door, saying, "So, you're also a mutant ability user. No wonder you could kill Liu Erlong." Liang Yuan watched the woman cautiously. "Who are you?" "Let me introduce myself. I'm Zheng Yuan, Brother Z's girlfriend." "Liang Yuan, right? Brother Z wants to have a talk with you." She smiled faintly, then stepped aside, inviting Liang Yuan inside. Liang Yuan's gaze narrowed lightly, coldly saying, "He wants to talk to me, can't he come out himself?" She chuckled, "You want my Brother Z to come out and see you?" Her expression suddenly turned cold. "Do you think you deserve it?" Liang Yuan's eyes narrowed instantly and suddenly asked, "Zheng Yuan? How's Zheng Yuan related to you?" Zheng Yuan's expression paused, then curiously asked, "You know my uncle? Where is he?" Liang Yuan looked her up and down, suddenly sneering, "Your uncle said you were forcibly taken by Wang Zi's gang. Looking at you like this, it doesn't seem you were forced at all." Zheng Yuan laughed mockingly, "I'm truly in love with Brother Z. My uncle just doesn't know." Liang Yuan, enough nonsense. If you want to occupy Building 76, you better ask yourself if you have that ability. Brother Z sees you as talented. He is currently short of manpower. If you're willing to follow him, he can let you manage Units 1, 2, and 3. But the food you have must be handed over 2/3 to Brother Z. Zheng Yuan spoke directly, no longer beating around the bush with Liang Yuan. She looked arrogant, her eyes showing superiority, clearly believing such conditions were lucky for Liang Yuan. Chapter 100 Wang Zi's mutant ability. Liang Yuan's heart was filled with cold laughter. There can only be one tiger on a mountain. He needed to control the entire Building 76 and make everyone help him catch fish and earn points. It wasn't to become anyone's henchman. Let me think. He feigned contemplation and suddenly raised his arm sharply, firing the Glock in his right hand without hesitation. Bang! The gunshot rang out abruptly. Zheng Yuan, standing at the door, was shot in the chest and staggered back a step. Her face showed a look of shock as she looked up at Liang Yuan. "How dare you!" Liang Yuan charged over, not giving her a chance to speak. The steel crowbar in his other hand came crashing down. Bam! The crowbar struck her forehead forcefully. However, the anticipated scene of blood splattering did not occur. Instead, Liang Yuan's hand went numb from the impact, and bricks shattered where he hit. Liang Yuan felt his vision blur, and the woman before him disappeared like a mirage. Then he heard a light laugh from his side. "Hey, a strength-type mutant ability? Is this your trump card?" Liang Yuan whirled around and kicked out. Bam! The Zheng Yuan behind him turned into water and scattered again. Her figure appeared once more in the distant corridor. Liang Yuan instinctively wanted to chase her but abruptly stopped. "No, she wants to lure me into the corridor. There are patrols there, even though I knocked them out, if we start fighting, I could accidentally hurt them. Is the woman before me an illusion? Or what? Is this what Ding Yan saw earlier? In the eyes of others, do I look like a madman attacking wildly?" Liang Yuan took a deep breath and calmed down quickly, refraining from attacking aimlessly. Seeing Liang Yuan not chasing, Zheng Yuan suddenly sneered, "What, is that all you've got? Hey, trash like you, and you want to occupy Building 76? You want to negotiate with Brother Z? Liang Yuan, Brother Z is giving you a chance now, don't be ungrateful." Zheng Yuan taunted, trying to provoke Liang Yuan into attacking. Liang Yuan ignored her. He suddenly closed his eyes, letting his spiritual power seep out, quickly enveloping the surroundings. His spiritual power covered a radius of 7 to 8 meters, capturing everything around him. Sure enough, the corridor was empty except for the unconscious Ding Yan and others, and Zheng Yuan was nowhere in sight. Liang Yuan quickly turned around and probed the house with his spiritual power. The house was also empty, there was no one inside. Even the door hadn't been opened, from start to finish. Zheng Yuan hadn't stepped out of the room. If not for his spiritual power's penetrative ability, Liang Yuan wouldn't have discovered this. He sneered, "Wang Zi, if you're a man, Come out and talk to me. Hiding and letting a woman talk trash outside, is that all you're capable of? He tested with a mocking remark. Yuan was instantly enraged, cursing, "What's wrong with being a woman? Isn't your mother a woman? Weren't you born of a woman? You look down on women, but I'll make sure you die at the hands of a woman." She screamed, and Liang Yuan immediately sensed a spiritual power suddenly seeping from room 3211 opposite. Then a figure silently appeared at the door. The person opened the door, holding a sharp dagger, and sneaked toward Liang Yuan from behind. Under Liang Yuan's spiritual detection, the person was a young man. Roughly in his 20s, cleanly dressed, with a well-fed face, not appearing starved. The person cautiously approached, holding the dagger meticulously. Liang Yuan suddenly opened his eyes and turned sharply. He saw nothing within his line of sight. That man was also startled by Liang Yuan's sudden turn, freezing in place, not daring to breathe. Yuan's cursing continued around him. "Liang, you spineless coward, if you have guts, come in. Would you dare say these things in front of Brother Z? Trash like you, Brother Z could kill you with one hand." Liang Yuan ignored Yuan's noisy taunts. Although he didn't know where the opponent was, he was sure the person wasn't in room 3212. His focus was on the young man detected by his spiritual power. The young man still thought Liang Yuan hadn't discovered him and quietly lifted the scissors in his hand. Aiming for Liang Yuan's neck, he raised his hand forcefully, about to stab down. At that moment, Liang Yuan suddenly grinned and lashed out. He appeared to grab at the empty air, but his hand accurately seized the arm holding the scissors. The air twisted, and the man's face changed dramatically, finally revealing his true appearance. Liang Yuan sneered, "It seems you're Wang Zi." Wang Zi's face turned pale, horrified. He stumbled back, yelling, How did you find me?" His eyes sparkled, and waves of spiritual power continuously assaulted Liang Yuan. Liang Yuan felt his mind tremble slightly, his own spiritual power twisting. But the intensity of the opponent's spiritual power was only about 5 points, completely unable to shake his consciousness. Liang Yuan suddenly grabbed Wang Zi's neck and lifted him forcefully. Ugh! Wang Zi could no longer concentrate on using his spiritual power. He clawed at Liang Yuan's arm with both hands, his legs kicking wildly in the air. Spare me. Liang Yuan sneered, "So you used spiritual power to create illusions and influence others' 5 senses? You are Wang Zi?" Wang Zi's face turned red, he couldn't fight back. He struggled violently, tears streaming down his face. "Yes, I am. Spare me." Though he couldn't speak, his spiritual power kept sending out these thoughts. Liang Yuan laughed coldly but didn't let go. Instead, he increased the force of his grip. "Permitting your subordinates to kill and plunder, you're the mastermind. Without you, would Chen Hong and Zhu Wen dare to charge into Unit 1? Die." Crack. Liang Yuan's hand burst with tremendous force, immediately crushing Wang Zi's throat. Wang Zi's eyes bulged as the spiritual power in his mind fluctuated, seemingly affected by a strong stimulus, as if some mutation would occur. But in an instant, his life force was exhausted, and the mutation ceased abruptly. Wang Zi's head tilted, and he died completely. Chapter 101, Green Tea. Yuan discovers mutated fruit. The former leader of Units 4, 5, and 6, Wang Zi, who commanded brutal figures like the murderer Chen Hong and the rapist Zhu Wen, and controlled immense resources, was now silently dead at the hands of Liang Yuan. Throughout the whole process, there was no intense battle, no fierce slaughter. Not a single drop of blood was spilled. Liang Yuan only used one hand to snap the neck of this fierce character, whose reputation was no less than that of Liu Erlong. Gazing at the lifeless body in his hand, Liang Yuan knew that his victory seemed simple and swift. However, in reality, it was because his spiritual power reached an impressive 7.7 points. If it had been an ordinary person, even a mutant ability user like Ding Yan, they would have been played to death by Wang Zi. In fact, they wouldn't have even seen Wang Zi's true face before being tortured to exhaustion. Wang Zi's spiritual power definitely reached 5 points. More than 5 times that of an ordinary person. The illusions he created disturbed his opponent's perception, even causing hallucinations. He definitely had the strength to achieve this. At this moment, Liang Yuan was incredibly grateful for having drawn spirit attributes several times in the past. If not, he wouldn't have prioritized spirit attributes. Looking back now, if his spirit attributes weren't high enough, he wouldn't have had any way to deal with Wang Zi. Psychic mutant ability users have abilities that are bizarre and varied, far from what ordinary physical ability users can compare with. It seems I need to keep enhancing my spirit attributes and never underestimate them. He took a deep breath, thinking of Zhu Lihua's parasitic ability. It's probable that Zhu Lihua was also a spiritual awakener. The abilities of these spiritual awakeners were indeed eerie, making them impossible to guard against. Grabbing Wang Zi's corpse, Liang Yuan immediately headed for room 3211. At this moment, Zheng Yuan was still in the room, cursing and provoking. "Liang, did you become mute? Afraid to speak? Kneel down now, and bark like a dog at Brother Z's door. I might consider pleading on your behalf to Brother Z. Hey, but you won't escape punishment. First, kill that female mutant ability user from earlier. Show Brother Z your loyalty. Once you kill her, Brother Z will be pleased and naturally will." In the middle of her sentence, the door suddenly swung open. Next, a corpse was violently thrown in. "Ah!" Zheng Yuan screamed in fright and quickly dodged. Liang Yuan strode into the room, which was filled with various supplies. Rice, flour, grain, oil, mineral water, snacks, wood, and other materials. It seemed this was where Wang Zi stashed his supplies. Zheng Yuan looked at the corpse in horror, and upon recognizing it, her face changed dramatically. Wang Zi. Her legs weakened, and she collapsed to the ground, her face turning pale as a sheet. Liang Yuan approached step by step, a cold smile on his face. "Weren't you cursing quite joyfully just now?" Terrified, Zheng Yuan's eyes filled with tears. She hastily cried, "Brother Liang, Boss Liang, I was forced. It was all Wang Zi, that beast. He locked me here and commanded me to do these things. I didn't want to do it, he forced me. By the way, my uncle is Zhengu Okian. You know him, right? My uncle told you about me, didn't he? I was kidnapped by Wang Zi. Please, don't kill me, I beg you." Liang Yuan sneered. "Earlier, when I mentioned Zhengu Okian, you didn't say that. I didn't dare to say it. Wang Zi was right beside me, I didn't dare to do anything. I could only obey him. He told me to curse you like that, to attract your attention. I've never cursed anyone before, I've never even uttered a foul word since I was a child. Those words just now, he taught me to say them. Brother Liang, it's true, everything I said is true." She cried like a pear blossom bathed in rain, begging incessantly in fear. As Liang Yuan approached, she backed away, using her hands and feet. Unintentionally, she spread her legs, revealing the view under her short skirt. Even at this moment, she didn't forget to use her charms. Beauty was her greatest weapon. She relied on her beauty to captivate Wang Zi. She made Wang Zi, a mutant ability user, circle around her every day, playing him in the palm of her hand. She knew these dog-like men too well. She didn't believe that, with her beauty and figure, the man in front of her could resist. As long as he was tempted, as long as he desired her, she had a way to survive. She clamped her knees together, retreating, crying pitifully like a white lotus. Her pathetic, weak appearance could easily provoke a man's protective instinct. However, she had no idea that the man before her had spiritual attributes as high as 7.7. This kind of seduction couldn't shake Liang Yuan's heart at all. With a sinister smile, Liang Yuan raised a crowbar in his hand. "You think you can use seduction?" Boom. The iron rod smashed down, with a puff sound, smashing Zheng Yuan's head open. In an instant, blood and brain matter splattered everywhere. Liang Yuan retrieved his crowbar, coldly smiling. "Without half of Sister Mai's charm, you dare to play seduction? Ridiculous. This woman was definitely not a good person. From how she cooperated with Wang Zi, it was clear she did this kind of thing often." Liang Yuan naturally didn't know that the Wang Zi he killed moments ago was just a pitiful man being manipulated by a green tea bitch. During this period, Zheng Yuan stayed with Wang Zi under the guise of a romantic relationship. But in reality, she was always stringing him along. Poor Wang Zi died without ever even getting a kiss from her. He still fantasized about making a raft and leaving the building to take Zheng Yuan to her home. Chapter 101, Green Tea. Zheng Yuan, discovering mutated fruit. Liang Yuan ignored the two corpses and quickly began to collect supplies while no one was around. All the supplies were quickly stuffed into the inventory, which saved him some points. With these supplies, I don't need to specifically draw food for a short time. By the way, where do Qin Hong and Zhuan live? As Wang Zi's right-hand men, they must have hoarded a lot of food too. Liang Yuan thought of this and immediately went out, quickly searching downstairs. The top floor of Unit 6 was mostly where Wang Zi's core gang members lived. The group Liang Yuan had killed earlier were the core members of Wang Zi's gang. Liang Yuan did not have a key, but with his strength, he didn't need one. He twisted the doorknob until it broke, kicked the door open, and then began to raid the supplies. The supplies in these two rooms downstairs were even more than those in Wang Zi's room upstairs. Liang Yuan was overjoyed. These two rooms must be Zhuan and Chen Hong's rooms. These two people have hoarded so much food behind Wang Zi's back. He couldn't help but be surprised, Was Wang Zi's authority really this low? The subordinates hoarded more food than Wang Zi himself, yet he had no idea? Liang Yuan did not know Wang Zi's personality traits. He was a simple man, easily manipulated by green tea. If he hadn't awakened his mutant ability, not even 100 Wang Zis would be enough for Chen Hong and Shu Wen to kill. No need for words, Liang Yuan quickly began to ransack the place. Everything visible in the room was stuffed into the inventory. Soon the entire room was empty. Liang Yuan quickly went out and started sweeping through the building. Most of the residents in Unit 6 were vicious people. Many of these people had done heinous deeds. Liang Yuan felt no guilt and simply broke in. In rooms without residents, he cleared out the food. In rooms with residents, he knocked out the occupants and took most of the food, leaving a little for Ding Yan and the others to clean up once they woke up. Because there were no good people in Unit 6, he raided quickly. Not long after, he had finished sweeping through Unit 6. He then quickly entered Unit 5 to start raiding. Unit 5 also had many robbers and murderers. Liang Yuan showed no mercy, directly killing those who tied up women and abused them. During this, a member of Wang Zi's gang knelt and pleaded, revealing a big secret to Liang Yuan. Please don't kill me, I can build rafts, I'm a carpenter, I can build rafts for you. The pleading man was Huang Fu, a short and chubby old man in his 50s. Two young girls tied up in his house, both old enough to be his daughters, had bruises all over them, clearly abused many times. Though Liang Yuan's heart had already brewed a killing intent, upon hearing he was a carpenter, he paused and asked, "Are you a carpenter?" Huang Fu knelt on the ground, repeatedly kowtowing, I really am a carpenter. If you don't believe me, you can go to the rooftop and see. On the rooftop of Unit 6, there's a half-finished raft I built for Wang Zi and his people. Wang Zi and his people are also making rafts? Liang Yuan was genuinely surprised. Did Wang Zi also have such foresight? Yes, I built it for them. I used mortise and tenon joints, customized cabinet doors, and redwood flooring to piece together the raft frame. You can go see it, I can show you. Just spare me, and I can build a raft for you. This heavy rain hasn't stopped, the flood will eventually submerge the building. Without a raft, we will drown. The rafts I build are sturdy. Just keep me alive and give me some food, and I'll build the best raft for you. Huang Fu kept begging, emphasizing his importance. Liang Yuan immediately grabbed him and said, "Take me to sea." Huang Fu did not dare to resist, letting Liang Yuan grab his arm and drag him to the rooftop of Unit 6. The rooftop of Unit 6 was not the same. Between each unit, there was a wall less than 2 meters high. This area was supposed to be the private domain of the top-floor residents, where they could dry blankets, enjoy fresh air, and drink. Some top-floor residents had even illegally built sunrooms there. Most of the open space was occupied by various flower pots and foam boxes. These flower pots and foam boxes were filled with soil, with many crops already submerged by rainwater. It seemed some top-floor residents were growing vegetables on the rooftop. Liang Yuan noticed most of the plant pots and foam boxes in Unit 6 were stacked in the corners. In the central open space, a half-built raft was secured. In the sunroom beside it, there were still many boards, aluminum alloys, steel pipes, and other materials piled up. Seeing the raft, Liang Yuan couldn't help but be delighted. The progress of this raft's construction was indeed much faster than the one on his side. Liang Yuan turned to Huang Fu and asked, "Did you really build this?" "Yes, absolutely. I swear to the heavens," Huang Fu immediately swore. Liang Yuan's eyes flickered as he looked at the mostly completed raft, thinking for a moment before suddenly turning to Huang Fu. Huang Fu shivered, but his face was full of ingratiating smiles. "Rest assured, I've been a carpenter since I was a child, learning from my master. Building rafts is very simple." Chapter 101, Green Tige and Yuan, discovering mutated fruit. If we had enough materials, I could even build a wooden boat. If you had a big ship, with this flood, even if the whole building gets submerged, it wouldn't stop you from drinking fine wine, eating gourmet food, and playing with beauties on the boat. Liang Yuan grinned, "Oh? Like you, tying up 2 girls young enough to be your daughters, doing something worse than an animal?" Huang Fu was stunned, opening his mouth as if he wanted to say something. Suddenly, Liang Yuan struck out, the crowbar in his right hand stabbing forward without hesitation. Plop! The crowbar instantly pierced into the other's chest, then was yanked out in one swift motion. In an instant, blood spurted out, and Huang Fu clutched his chest in disbelief, pointing at Liang Yuan with the other hand. You! Why? Liang Yuan sneered, "I don't trust you. You said making the raft was easy, and now we have a half-finished one. I can just have someone else replicate it, can't I? If I let you make it, you old carpenter, what if you left some tricks on the raft?" He coldly chuckled, reached out, and pushed Huang Fu's head lightly. Huang Fu could no longer stand, collapsing to the ground with a thud. Blood spread from his chest, washed away by the rain. Liang Yuan ignored the corpse and instead inspected the raft. The raft is not bad, but who knows if it can be used. I'll have old Ma and Kaizi come and study it. Compared to the raft Huang Fu made, although old Ma and Kaizi's work was more rudimentary and less pretty, from a safety standpoint, Liang Yuan trusted old Ma and Kaizi more. This thing will be on the water in the future, and if Huang Fu did leave something, causing the raft to fall apart in the flood, that would be too dangerous. Liang Yuan then looked at the foam boxes and flower pots in the corner. There was still some soil inside, but most of it was washed away by the rain. Some plants, although not completely dead, had their roots rotted by the rain. Liang Yuan didn't want to waste the soil and collected it all into the inventory. Granny Li said last time that there's too little soil in the plant room. This should be just enough. I wonder if my mutated sunflower seeds will sprout. Liang Yuan thought as he collected the flower pots and foam boxes. Suddenly, he paused, eyes fixed on a small flower pot under a foam box. In that small flower pot, something green was still growing vigorously. Is this a cactus? Liang Yuan was surprised and quickly moved the other plastic pots and foam boxes away. Sure enough, this small cactus was covered by a large foam box, preventing it from being drenched by the rain. Not only was the cactus not washed away by the rain, but it had also produced a purplish-red fruit on top. The fruit looked like a mini dragon fruit, entirely purplish-red, not noticeable among the foam boxes. Liang Yuan's heart skipped a beat. Could this be a mutated fruit? Currently, he knew that some plants could produce mutated fruits. Eating them could not only awaken mutant abilities but also seemed to pose no risk of mental breakdown. Liang Yuan carefully moved the cactus out of the foam box. It's a pity that the lottery system doesn't have an identification function. Liang Yuan was a bit regretful. He wouldn't eat it himself, who knew if it was poisonous? With the system, he could get attribute points anytime, so why take the risk? I can let Zhao Kai try it later. Zhao Kai's wrist was broken, currently lacking combat power. If this continued for long, who knew if he could keep up with the team anymore? If the cactus fruit was indeed a mutated fruit, it could help Zhao Kai awaken mutant abilities. This way, Zhao Kai's strength might quickly improve and become the main combat power of the team again. With the recent battles, Liang Yuan felt increasingly that a single tree couldn't make a forest. It's great to be alone, but if he wanted to build a formidable force, he absolutely needed capable helpers. For example, Wu Chuan and Chen Hong splitting into two teams. If he wasn't careful, the other party could easily ransack his place. Or when Liu Rilong had someone block him at Zioqian's house on the 29th floor while attacking his own place. These two incidents both pointed to one problem: he couldn't manage everything alone. So he needed to train a few helpers who were capable fighters. Ding Yan was certainly one option, but Liang Yuan didn't want to get too close to her. This woman's control tendencies seemed strong, and she had too many ideas, unlike the obedient Yang Mai. Perhaps just being friends would be a better choice. As for old Ma and Kaizi, Liang Yuan thought about it repeatedly and felt they weren't quite suitable. Both had their own small families and prioritized them in everything. This was understandable, of course, and Liang Yuan could sympathize. But that's not what he wanted. He needed someone who would follow his orders. By this count, Zhao Kai, a single man, seemed the most suitable. Let's see if he dares to try it. Liang Yuan put away the cactus, then continued gathering, collecting all the soil from the foam boxes into the inventory. After finishing, he climbed over the wall to the top of Unit 5. Here too, there were many sunrooms and flower pots with various crops planted. Mainly green peppers, eggplants, cucumbers, and such. However, these crops were already drowned by the rain, most of them rotted. Liang Yuan stuffed them all into the inventory. The soil was precious and could be used to grow other things later. He searched again but found no remaining mutated plants. He then went to Unit 4. The residents at the top of Unit 4 were lazy, with no sunrooms or plants. The rooftop only had some water buckets and pots, nothing else. Liang Yuan was a bit disappointed. Units 1, 2, and 3 had only short walls in between, and he could see right through. Besides sunrooms and water buckets, there was nothing else. Liang Yuan rushed to Unit 1 to check old Ma's raft. In terms of craftsmanship and appearance, it couldn't compare to Wang Zi's team's raft. But in terms of materials, they used more solid ones here. The base was welded with steel pipes, plastic pipes, with boards laid on top and the bottom filled with foam and plastic items. The framework was sturdy, and the foam and plastic fillings provided good buoyancy. The central part still needed more weight to form a balance, preventing it from tipping over easily. Liang Yuan made some comparisons and had some thoughts. While pondering, A familiar honk came from the distance. Liang Yuan was stunned and quickly looked up at the sky. As he looked, his eyes widened. In the distant sky, a plane was flying through the rain. Chapter 102, Airplane, Human Heart Airplane. This symbol of national power appeared here. What does this signify? This signifies that the nation still has the ability to rescue everyone. The nation still has the airplanes to come out and search and rescue. Liang Yuan felt a mixture of joy and fear, but then his heart suddenly sank. He couldn't help but think of a question: if the rescue truly arrives, does the fact that he killed so many people before count as a crime? Thinking about this, his heart sank instantly. Once the nation takes action, the disaster passes, and order is restored, will there be a reckoning? Will someone like him, who killed many people, be captured by the nation? Liang Yuan's expression changed unpredictably as he looked at the airplane in the sky, his thoughts cascading. While he was watching the airplane, suddenly a group of people rushed out from the hallway. Everyone shouted loudly. Airplane! It's an airplane! We're saved, the nation is here to rescue us. I knew it, I knew the nation wouldn't abandon us. Hurry, signal for help. We're here, we are here. Fools, they can't see us, the airplane is too high up. Use fire, use smoke to attract them. Yes, yes, start a fire quickly, the people of Building 76 shouted in excitement, some shouting loudly and waving their hands vigorously. Others excitedly searched for materials to start a fire, trying to attract the airplane's attention. Everyone was extremely excited, tears filled their eyes. Not only in Building 76, but on the rooftop of the opposite Building 75, many people rushed up, shouting excitedly. That elder Lin, who had a transaction with Liang Yuan, also used all his strength, urging the golden light on his body to form huge golden letters in the void. The International Distress Signal, SOS. This trick was more eye-catching than any torch or thick smoke, and the people in Building 75 shouted excitedly and called out to the sky for help. Some people from distant buildings within the community noticed the commotion and ran to the rooftops. Someone slapped their hands towards the sky, creating a booming noise, the source of which was unknown. In another apartment building, a woman waved her hands, and flames spewed out of her palms towards the sky, forming several meter-high waves of fire. Moreover, strength-type mutant ability users picked up iron hammers, fiercely striking a stainless steel water tank to create noise and attract the airplane. Other people could even manipulate colorful mist, forming large colorful distress signals in the air. For a moment, mutant ability users appeared everywhere in the community and on distant buildings, continuously exhibiting various peculiar mutant abilities. This scene truly shocked everyone. It turned out, the world had really changed, and unconsciously, so many mutant ability users had already emerged. Liang Yuan's face was serious. Are there really people who can control flames and lightning? With such mutant abilities, if it comes down to a fight, can I beat them? A sense of crisis surged in Liang Yuan's heart. He knew that every person's body had undergone mutations. So theoretically, each person could become a mutant ability user. As long as they can withstand the mental chaos caused by mutation and maintain their sanity, they can successfully awaken, otherwise, they would turn into a mad monster like Wang Yanmai. Even though his face was serious, Liang Yuan was not surprised by the appearance of mutant ability users in the surrounding buildings. This was inevitable. The only pressure he felt was regarding the strength and abilities of these mutant ability users. Currently, his enhancements were mostly oriented towards physical attacks. But some mutant ability users could release elemental attacks like flames and lightning. He didn't know if his current constitution could withstand such attacks. Brother Liang Yuan, there's an airplane, it's an airplane. At this moment, Zhao Kei, Old Ma, and Kaizi squeezed through the crowd towards him. All three were equally excited, shouting at Liang Yuan. Liang Yuan wasn't as excited, he just nodded. Yes, I saw it. Will it see us? Will it come to rescue us? Old Ma said excitedly. Liang Yuan shook his head. I don't know. Haha, we're going to be saved, we're going to be saved. Quick, start the torches, move, everyone move aside. At this moment, a slightly overweight middle-aged man shouted excitedly, pushing others aside as he stepped forward. He held a torch high and waved it at the airplane in the sky. The torrential rain didn't extinguish his torch. It was unclear what kind of fuel he used. The slightly overweight man looked at the sky, chasing the airplane's trajectory, continually pushing aside the crowd. Soon he squeezed his way to Liang Yuan. He changed his previously humble behavior, forcefully shoved Liang Yuan's chest, and shouted, "Move aside." Liang Yuan frowned, but instead of moving aside, he puffed out his chest. The man let out a cry of pain, his entire body bounced back to the ground. He glared at Liang Yuan, cursing, "Liang, you damn bastard, still acting arrogant? The nation's rescue is coming, you're a murderer, You'll be arrested for sure. You, and your lot, won't escape." He pointed at Zhao Kai, Magekyō, and Kai's, angrily shouting. Zhao Kai's excitement instantly faded. He looked down at the man, ignoring the airplane above. What did you say?" Magekyō regained his senses. Looking at the slightly overweight middle-aged man, he seemed to recognize him, and couldn't help but say, "Liu Qingfa, what nonsense are you talking about? Weren't those people we killed all bad guys?" Liu Qingfa climbed up from the ground and laughed. "Bad guys? Do bad guys deserve to be killed? Who gave you the right to kill people?" Chapter 102, Airplane. "Human heart, you guys are just a bunch of workers. What gives you the right to kill? Especially you, Liang Yuan, relying on your strength, occupying so much food, so much grain, what gives you the right? I'm telling you, just wait, when a plane lands and the rescue comes, the nation will be the first to deal with people like you. In the face of national disaster, you parasites not only don't help to overcome the difficulties together, but hoard food and raise prices. You all deserve to die, PFFT." His words instantly stirred many people's emotions. Among these people, many were envious of Liang Yuan and his group for having a large amount of food. While they could only rely on catching fish to stave off hunger, or trade the fish with Liang Yuan for food. Perhaps before, they were grateful to Liang Yuan, thankful to him for rescuing them from Liu Erlong and Wang Zi's gangs. But deep down, weren't they also jealous of Liang Yuan and his group? Envy is something everyone has. The complexity of human nature is extremely intricate. As they saw the glimmer of national rescue, some people couldn't hold back and directly stepped forward. Standing in front, Liu Qingfa was just one among them. Compared to Liang Yuan, who was originally a worker, Liu Qingfa was a serious cadre before the Great Flood. When had he ever suffered such hardships, such devastation? When Liu Erlong and others were acting thugishly, killing and robbing food, he didn't even dare make a peep. Even when his house was taken over by Liu Erlong's people, his wife toyed to death by Liu Erlong's men, he didn't dare utter a sound. Exiled to the corridor to barely survive, beaten by others, he never dared to raise his voice. But upon seeing that national rescue was coming, his inner excitement could no longer be suppressed. All the grievances, resentment, and anger accumulated over time burst out in an instant. He seemed to have lost his mind, shouting at Liang Yuan and the others who had once saved him. Just because he used to be high and mighty, those workers weren't even worth a glance to him. During this great flood disaster, he was ruled, enslaved, humiliated by the poor people he had once ignored. He certainly held hatred in his heart, not only towards Liu Erlong but even more towards Liang Yuan who saved them. Why should such people save him? The ones who should have eradicated the thugs and defeated Liu Erlong should be the competent ones, the social elite like him. So he erupted, not feeling grateful to Liang Yuan at all, even deeply detesting him. Watching the approaching aircraft overhead, he burst into laughter. All around, people were excitedly waving their arms, standing behind him, glaring at Liang Yuan. Accusations were already starting to emerge one after another. Yeah, what's the deal with Liang Yuan taking so much food? That food was originally ours, it was just taken by Liu Erlong, why should he take it? I heard he even took over a female neighbor, how is he any different from Liu Erlong? People like him, once the national rescue arrives, will definitely be punished. Just watch, they won't have a good ending. The voices of discussion grew louder, though many didn't care about it, their eyes fixed on the incoming plane. Zhao Kai, Magekyō, and Kai's all looked extremely grim. You guys. Magekyō pointed at these people in anger but couldn't say a word. Zhao Kai's face turned dark blue, his uninjured left hand clenched tightly into a fist, wishing he could smash Liu Qingfa's face. Kai's eyes turned red with anger, breathing heavily, he cursed, "Motherfucker, if it wasn't for us, you motherfuckers would still be treated like pigs and dogs by Liu Erlong, beaten and enslaved. Do you motherfuckers have any conscience? Fuck you, do you really think you're heroes? Without you, we would have united and fought back against Liu Erlong ourselves." Liu Qingfa cursed without hesitation. With the national rescue just around the corner, the world was about to return to peace. He didn't want to hold back, saying whatever he wanted. Kai's angrily picked up a steel pipe beside him. "Say that again, motherfucker. Say another word and see what happens." Liu Qingfa was indeed startled, quickly stepping back, cursing, "You still dare act violently? Do you believe that once the rescue team lands, you'll be the first to be executed? Rebellion? With the national rescue team coming, you dare commit murder?" Kai's also couldn't help but pause, grudgingly looking up at the plane. For a moment, he didn't know what to do. Liu Qingfa saw his hesitation, becoming even more arrogant. Feeling relieved in his heart, he burst into laughter. "Ha ha ha, fuck, Kai's, Liang Yuan, aren't you motherfuckers showy? What's so great about you? Once the national rescue team comes, You'll still have to behave yourself. I'm telling you, all the things you've done will definitely face legal punishment. Get ready for prison, PFFT. You dare hit me, still dare hit me? Feeling extremely relieved, Liu Qingfe pointed at his head, arrogantly cursing at Kazekage. Come on, aren't you tough? Try hitting me once. Let's see if the rescue team punishes you. You have a wife and kids, right? Wait for them to bring you prison meals, you idiot. Liu Qingfe laughed loudly, his mouth foul as if he had eaten feces. But he and the people behind him felt extremely relieved. Before, when they saw Liang Yuan and Zhao Ke, they were all timid, each more cautious than the other. Now, the plane overhead gave them courage. Chapter 102, Airplane, Human Heart. They seemed to have turned the tables. Liu Qingfe became their mouthpiece, ruthlessly humiliating Liang Yuan and his group on their behalf. In the crowd, some people clapped and cheered, some sneered, and some snickered at Liang Yuan's group. Liang Yuan watched it all from beginning to end, his expression very calm, without any waves or anger. He knew very well that this was human nature. When they are weak, they can kneel and lick your boots, respect you, and pledge loyalty to you. Once they gain power, they will abandon you without hesitation, even stab you in the back. Liang Yuan didn't want to question whether these people had a conscience. There was no need, he never considered these people his own. The reason for keeping these people around was merely to have them help him catch fish and earn points. Liang Yuan reached out and took the steel pipe from Kai's hand. The rain poured down, and thunder rumbled. Splash, splash. Liang Yuan left watermarks with each step as he walked towards Liu Qingfe. Liu Qingfe's arrogant smile instantly froze. He looked at Liang Yuan with a hint of fear, involuntarily stepping back. What are you doing? What do you want to do? Liang, the plane is about to land, the rescue team is coming. If you dare touch me, the rescue team will execute you immediately. Everyone is watching, they're all watching, he's about to commit a crime. Liu Qingfe shouted, calling for the surrounding people. The people around suddenly fell silent at this moment and unconsciously retreated. They just remembered that the person in front of them was the one who had killed Liu Erlong. The rescue team was close, but they weren't here yet. If this person loses it and really kills someone, what then? In an instant, everyone quickly shut up and distanced themselves from Liang Yuan and Liu Qingfe. Some people frequently looked towards the sky, wishing they could immediately fly up to the plane and escape. Liang Yuan didn't care about the others, he just calmly looked at Liu Qingfe and said, I don't know if the rescue team will execute me. But before they arrive, you will surely die. Liu Qingfe shivered instantly, looked up at Liang Yuan, and, realizing he wasn't joking, his face turned deathly pale. You! This is a crime! He shouted tremblingly. Liang Yuan smiled, I know. Since you said the country would punish us for murder. Then what's the harm in killing one more? Liu Qingfe's face turned ashen with fear. He had only vented his anger just now, not expecting that Liang Yuan's group would throw caution to the wind and be ready to kill. Regret filled him, and he forced a grim smile. Mr. Liang, I was just talking nonsense. The country might not even come after you. Liu Erlong and his people were criminals, you killed him in self-defense. I'm sorry, I have a foul mouth, I was wrong. He flipped quickly, apologized quickly. Liang Yuan, however, smiled even more. Suddenly, he moved like a flash. Whoosh! In the rain, a figure sliced through the downpour. Liang Yuan was almost instantly in front of Liu Qingfe. He grabbed Liu Qingfe's neck with one hand, violently lifting him up like a chick. Ah! No! Help! Liu Qingfe's face showed terror, hurried hands trying to pry off Liang Yuan's hand, legs kicking frantically in the air. Liang Yuan grinned, showing white teeth. Help? Who do you expect to save you? When Liu Erlong's men took over your house, why didn't you curse him? When Liu Erlong bullied your wives and daughters, why didn't you shout at him? When your last bit of food was taken by him, why didn't you dare curse him? Hey, is it that I'm too kind or that I look too gentle? What makes you think I'm so easy to bully? Today, even if the rescue team arrives, even if an aircraft carrier comes to Midu Garden, I'll still kill you first. Liang Yuan chuckled and then swung the steel pipe in his hand. Bang! The steel pipe smashed onto Liu Qingfe's forehead. The very spot he had arrogantly pointed to earlier, telling Kaizi to hit him. In an instant, Liu Qingfe's head split open, blood sprayed, flesh was mangled. The hollow stainless steel pipe in Liang Yuan's hand bent from the impact. He didn't stop, continuing to smash with the pipe. Bang! 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 Blood splattered, flesh was torn. Liang Yuan's expressionless face was splattered with blood, washed clean again by the pouring rain. As if heaven itself was washing away his filthy grime. The surrounding residents were already pale with fright. No one dared to speak loudly anymore. Even those afar yelling for the plane were now silenced in fear. Many sensed danger and retreated quietly. From the distant high-rise, cheers and excitement continued to echo. No one noticed the conflict unfolding at Building 76. Everything seemed like a tiny wave in the roaring tide. The steel pipe in his hand broke, and Liu Chengfa's head was deformed. Only then did Liang Yuan release his grip, letting the corpse fall to the ground. The surrounding rain splashed. Liang Yuan scrutinized everyone. At that moment, no one dared to meet his gaze. Mangekyō, Kaizi, and Zhao Kai looked at Liang Yuan, their expressions turning from complex to resolute. Zhao Kai couldn't help but walk towards Liang Yuan. Brother Liang, if the rescue team really comes, let's flee ahead of time. Mangekyō and Kai's also approached. Let's speed up and try to finish making the raft. Liang Yuan smiled and looked up at the sky, the plane getting closer and closer. Chapter 103, Strange Bird, Negotiations. The world is undergoing a mutation, the path of human evolution has begun. Hot weapons may no longer be absolute lethal weapons. In the future, it might be the era of the mutant ability users. The state may not even take action against us. Liang Yuan looked at the plane. I really want to know why it took so long for rescue to come. Huh? He hadn't finished speaking when his expression suddenly changed, his pupils involuntarily contracted. Zhao Kai and the others were puzzled and involuntarily looked up at the plane. Even with their eyesight, they immediately noticed something was wrong. What? What is that? Someone exclaimed. Look in that cloud. What? What is that thing? Gasp, what is this? Amidst the exclamations, a giant monstrous bird suddenly flapped its wings and emerged from the thick clouds. In a flash of lightning and thunder, the monstrous bird suddenly collided with a plane. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion erupted, and a fireball appeared in the sky. The plane instantly exploded, with flames roaring and rolling. The giant bird monster immediately let out a strange cry that resounded through the sky. One could see it grabbing half of the plane, flapping its wings and plunging into the clouds. The other half of the plane turned into a fireball, whistling and booming as it crashed into a distant apartment building. In an instant, wails echoed through the building, flames rolling. The entire building collapsed with a loud crash. Everyone widened their eyes, staring in terror at this scene. For a moment, the originally excited people froze their smiles, standing dumbfounded in the pouring rain. Liang Yuan also widened his eyes, looking at this scene in disbelief. What? What is that thing? His heart was shocked. That monstrous bird was so large, it was only slightly smaller than the plane. But its wingspan was even larger than the plane. Although the plane wasn't as huge as a commercial airliner, it was definitely at the level of a military transport aircraft. Given the propeller speed of that plane, what creature could directly tear this plane in half? Even Liang Yuan couldn't help but gasp. What kind of gigantic change has happened to this world? How could ordinary flying creatures evolve so quickly? He was stunned, with too many questions, but no one could answer. Beside him, Zhao Kai, Mangekyō, and Kai's also stood there dumbfounded, their mouths agape, looking at the building emitting thick smoke. Not only them, but everyone on the rooftops of Midu Garden was stunned. No one could believe what just happened. The hope of rescue was right in front of them but was shattered instantly. No, impossible, this can't be. How could this be? How could this be? Oh, God, what do you want from us? What's going on in this world? What's that monster? Where are the fighter jets? Where are the country's fighter jets? Why aren't they sending fighter jets? A group of people collapsed, some cursed the heavens, some cried bitterly, others beat their chests and stamped their feet. A similar scene was happening on the rooftops of other buildings in the distance. Liang Yuan remained silent, he glanced at the thick clouds in the distance, his heart heavy. Let's go. He turned and called Zhao Kai and the others, heading to his home. Zhao Kai, Old Ma, and Kaize came to their senses and quickly followed Liang Yuan. The three had countless questions in their hearts but didn't know how to ask at this moment. Each had a heavy and solemn expression as they went downstairs. When Liang Yuan arrived home, Yang Ma immediately came up, anxiously asking, "Little brother, I just heard everyone shouting that rescue has come, what's going on? Is there really a rescue team?" Her face was full of anxiety and expectation, looking at Liang Yuan. Liang Yuan poured a glass of water and didn't answer immediately. Instead, he suddenly asked, "Sister Mai, if there is really a rescue team, will you go with them?" Yang Mai instinctively replied, "Of course, the country wouldn't harm us. They've come to save us, isn't it dangerous to stay here?" Liang Yuan took a sip of water and asked again, "What if I don't go?" This. Why? Little brother, why wouldn't you go? Yang Mai couldn't help but ask anxiously. Liang Yuan shook his head, "I'm a murderer, maybe the residents would report me, and the country would hold me accountable? How could that be? You killed for everyone's sake, how could they do such a thing? Yang Mai couldn't help but get angry. Liang Yuan smiled and said, better safe than sorry. If I don't go, would you leave with the rescue team? Yang Mai opened her mouth, paused for a moment, then her eyes became firm. If you don't go, I won't go either. Liang Yuan looked at her in surprise. You don't want a peaceful life? Yang Mai shook her head, walked to him, leaned against his chest, and said softly, I was wrong once in my life. This time, I definitely won't be wrong. Little brother, you are the one who truly treats me well. Even if the rescue team comes, they can take me to a safe place, but as a woman with no ability to defend myself, what can I do? Only you didn't dislike me, giving me food when I was about to starve. Although we are not married, in my heart, you are already my man. I only trust you. She looked up, her eyes filled with deep emotion, and said, little brother, I won't leave you. You won't leave me either, right? Liang Yuan was moved, holding her tightly. Of course not. Chapter 103 Strange Bird, Negotiation. He immediately explained, just now, a military transport plane appeared in the sky, and we thought rescue had arrived. Yang Mai asked joyfully, is there really rescue? Liang Yuan shook his head, the plane crashed. What? The joy on Yang Mai's face visibly froze as she looked at Liang Yuan in disbelief. Liang Yuan said solemnly, this world has undergone unimaginable changes. Mutant creatures are popping up everywhere. It's not just humans, fish in the sea have mutated, and even birds and beasts flying in the sky have mutated. Just a moment ago, a strange bird of an unknown species, only slightly smaller than the transport plane, dived down from the clouds and tore the plane apart. Yang Mai's face turned pale, and she asked, trembling, how? How could this happen? Didn't they have weapons? Military planes don't have weapons? How could a strange bird stop them? Liang Yuan shook his head, I don't know. That strange bird was too fast, and the pilot had no time to react. Also, I find it strange. With floods everywhere, where does such a huge bird build its nest? Liang Yuan frowned. The appearance of the strange bird gave him a new understanding of this world. Such a large mutant bird, able to traverse the clouds. Where would its nest be? On top of a building? Or on a mountain? If all creatures have undergone evolutionary mutation, might there be many such land and aerial creatures gathering on the remaining high mountains like Sun Mountain and Maishan? Wouldn't that make those places very dangerous? Knock, knock, knock. The door was knocked, and Liang Yuan patted Yang Mai's shoulder. Yang Mai quickly got up, tidied her messy hair, and said, I'll go open the door. The door opened, and Kaizi, Old Ma, Zhao Kei, and Ding Yan all arrived. Liang Yuan first looked at Ding Yan and asked, awake? How are Zhang Peng and the others? He had left in a hurry before, only placing Ding Yan and a few others in Wang Zi's room before rushing off to gather supplies. Ding Yan, with a look of lingering fear on her face, nodded, I'm fine. Zhang Peng and the others have also woken up. Wang Zi's group is all dead. Zhang Peng and Wen Lily said you did it? Liang Yuan nodded, yes, I killed them. Ding Yan sighed, what kind of mutant ability did Wang Zi have? It was really powerful. I never got close to him the whole time. Liang Yuan said, he had spiritual power, the ability to create illusions. Your empowerment talent enhances bursts. It has some disadvantages against him. Creating illusions? Ding Yan couldn't help but change her expression, no wonder I couldn't hit him, no matter how I fought. So it was all an illusion? Such mutant abilities are really quite terrifying. Liang Yuan nodded, human individuals are complex, and the directions of evolution are myriad. Spiritual power mutant abilities are indeed tricky and hard to defend against. Ding Yan also nodded, suddenly asking, by the way, when I came just now, Old Ma and they said the rescue plane came. Liang Yuan looked at Old Ma and the others, you all told her? Yes, I just told her what happened upstairs, Old Ma sighed. Kaiser said, Liang Yuan, what was that strange bird? How could it tear a military transport plane apart before they had time to react? It should be some kind of flying mutant creature, though what it originally was, I don't know. Will there be many such creatures? Maguakai couldn't help but ask. Liang Yuan shook his head, I don't know, but one thing is certain, the country has not been able to send effective rescue so far, probably encountering some obstacles. Amidst the floods, there are more giant mutant creatures. Mutant birds in the sky will intercept aircraft. It seems land, sea, and air transportation are paralyzed, making travel impossible. Furthermore, remote communication means like the internet and radio seem to be restricted. Otherwise, with radar detection, the military transport plane would have had some reaction time. By the way, has radio communication been restored? Liang Yuan suddenly asked Yang Mai. Besides grilling fish, He had given Yang Mai the task of monitoring the radio. She would spend some time each day searching for radio stations. Yang Mai, hearing Liang Yuan's question, replied dejectedly, "No, it's all static. Not a single station." Liang Yuan's face grew even more grave. He said to everyone, "Looks like even radio is severely interfered with. Because of this, the military may not be able to use many high-tech weapons other than gunpowder weapons, especially things like map navigation." This statement made everyone's hearts sink even further. Without navigation, in such a huge city, who can know the way? Not to mention the military, even people who have lived in a city for decades would find it hard to navigate with only isolated buildings left after a flood. Liang Yuan thought for a moment and took out his phone, turning on the compass. Only to see the compass needle on the phone wobbling violently, unable to point south. Liang Yuan's expression grew even more serious. Even the compass doesn't work. This means the magnetic interference is severe. Their worry deepened, and they couldn't help but start asking questions. Old Ma couldn't help but ask, "What on earth happened? Isn't it just a big flood? How is the Earth's magnetic field affected?" Kai's also couldn't help but ask, "Does the country really have no solutions?" Ding Yan remained relatively calm and said, "Old Ma, this is obviously not an ordinary flood. It's very likely some unknown disaster has caused global changes." Chapter 103, Strange Bird, Negotiation. Look at those mutated creatures outside, and you should understand that the world is no longer the same. This is a new round of natural selection. The dominant position on the planet may no longer belong to humans. Her words made everyone present even more solemn. Kaize couldn't help but say, "Are humans to be extinct?" Ding Yan said, "We cannot rule out this possibility unless humans evolve gills like fish and can live underwater. Otherwise, given the current situation, with the flood covering the land, the survival of terrestrial creatures will become increasingly difficult." Old Ma couldn't help but say, "That's impossible. Although the water level has risen a lot here, Linjiang City is in an area of average altitude. Yanchuan, the Tibetan region, and the western border are all highlands. They couldn't possibly be submerged, right? If even those places are submerged, how much water would that take? Does our planet have that much water?" Old Ma was also a knowledgeable person, and what he said made sense. It's no wonder he was skeptical. Even Kai's and Zhao Kai found it hard to believe. Ding Yin glanced at Old Ma and asked, "With the emergence of major evolution in creatures, what is impossible? Furthermore, how do you know how much water is on this planet? What makes you think that all this water is from this planet? Couldn't it be from outer space? Couldn't it have come up from the Earth's core? How much do we really know about this planet? It has already undergone changes that are beyond our comprehension. We should not judge it by previous knowledge and experience, or we will surely suffer." Ding Yan was indeed a teacher from Linjiang University, and her insights were exceptional and logical. However, for someone like Old Ma, who had seen a lot in his life, it was difficult to accept such drastic changes. Liang Yuan, on the other hand, seemed to agree with Ding Yan. The world had undergone a massive transformation, and past experiences could no longer serve as standards or references for judgment. In Linjiang City, the seawater was flooding in, the water level was rising, and the flood was raging. Were there no other disasters in higher altitude areas? Wouldn't the snow on Tanshan Mountain melt? Could there be tectonic movements? Could high altitude areas not become lower? History books have also mentioned that marine fossils were found in ancient highlands. This indicated that millions of years ago, those areas might have been seas. Change over time is inevitable. Everything can transform. Perhaps this planet was accelerating its changes now, who knows? Liang Yuan didn't want to be bogged down by these thoughts. He had more urgent matters to attend to. These are not issues we can concern ourselves with. Everyone, we now have more pressing matters. Everyone's eyes turned to Liang Yuan. Liang Yuan said solemnly, "Survival. You've seen that airplane. Hoping for rescue from outside is slim. But staying in this building indefinitely will eventually force us out due to resource shortages or some other reasons. At that point, we won't have a choice. Right now, the seawater has only reached the 12th floor. We still have time to prepare and options to choose from. I plan to build a raft. Now I ask you, if the raft is successful, will you leave with me?" His eyes were burning as he looked at everyone. The group immediately fell into deep thought. Ding Yan was the first to speak. "I will go with you." Before anyone else could say a word, she continued, "This building will eventually collapse after prolonged soaking in seawater. Even if it doesn't collapse due to soaking, the numerous mutated creatures in the flood outside will sooner or later destroy these buildings. And this heavy rain shows no signs of stopping. No one knows how long it will continue. As the flood continues to rage and the water level keeps rising, the places we can stand on will become less and less. At that time, The survival space for those staying here will be increasingly limited, leading to more intense conflicts. Staying here is like boiling a frog in lukewarm water. Sooner or later, we will die. It's better to leave now while the mutated creatures aren't so terrifying. As soon as she finished, Zhao Kai also spoke, Brother Liang, I will go with you too. There is nothing worth staying here for anymore. This one reason alone was enough. Kai's and old Ma also looked at Liang Yuan. Kai's aside, Liang Yuan, I will go with you too. Old Ma said, I will join as well. This place is no longer livable. Liang Yuan smiled, do you want to reconsider? Ding Yan and Zhao Kai are lone wolves and can leave everything behind to follow me, but you both have families. What's there to think about? Just now on the rooftop, I saw the faces of those people. Kai Zi forced a smile, without you here, they would turn this place upside down. Old Ma also sighed, human nature is the hardest to predict. Our team is still better. Staying with them here will probably get us killed before the floodwaters reach us. Clearly, they were all smart people. The behavior of Liu Qingfa upstairs was not just his alone. Many other residents had similar thoughts. After all, most of the food supplies were in Liang Yuan's hands. It would be surprising if those people weren't jealous. Liang Yuan laughed, your words make me happy. We've been together from the start, and I am of course glad to leave together. With all of you, I am more confident about leaving here. Old Ma then asked, Liang Yuan, where do you plan to go? Yangshan or Maishan? Kai's also said, with the flood outside and no GPS, finding a way will be difficult. Again, everyone looked at Liang Yuan. These were the most pressing issues. Chapter 104, Liang Yuan's superpower, Zhao Kai's awakening as the leader. Liang Yuan naturally had to come up with solutions for these problems. At the very least, he needed a plan to convince others to follow him confidently. Liang Yuan spoke in a deep voice, Yangshan is higher, while Maishan is closer, but actually, both are part of the same mountain range. Our residence, Midu Garden, is not too far from either mountain. In the past, driving on the highway, it would take just half an hour, about 30 kilometers. However, if we take a raft, it might take much longer. As for navigation, there's no need to worry. I downloaded offline maps right as the flood began, and recently, while gathering supplies, I also found quite a few maps. By referring to these maps, we should be able to find our way. The urgent task now is to quickly build a raft. And there might be a few people we can bring along. Liang Yuan's eyes flashed. In the future, population would surely be a crucial resource. He wasn't sure if there were people on Yangshan and Maishan.